All right, everybody, welcome back to Finals Conversations. Once again, I'm sitting here with Steffon Pickney of DefTF. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm all right.
Oh no, no. How are you really? Stop lying. Stop lying,
Uh,
man.
I feel pretty good. I won't lie. I won't lie.
Yeah.
It's a good feeling. So, for
Nice.
I guess anyone hiding,
Sleeping with the
what?
trophy? Are you sleeping with the
I
trophy
mean, I'm
next to
not
you?
sleeping with it, but it's right
Mm.
here. It's.
I slept next to mine first night. No,
Well,
I
I
didn't. I'm
mean,
joking.
yours is smaller than mine. Okay.
Doesn't matter. Yours is like longer and like I think it's like the same weight. Give me a break. You're funny though.
No, but seriously, like, for anyone that's been sleeping under a rock,
Yeah.
Energon Invitational was this weekend. I got a question, right? How do you feel now? It's Monday night. Do you feel like the weekend was long or short? Yeah,
Honestly,
I
short.
know. I
Now that it's
know.
over.
You know
Yep.
what? I don't even really feel that it was long in the moment.
No. Everything went pretty smoothly for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, like there were a couple of times where we went in the time, but it's expected. I mean, you're not gonna have every round go
Right.
perfect.
Right.
So I think it ran smoothly for what it's worth. And the infancy of the game. Of course, things are going to get better. People are going to have their complaints. Probably get into more of that later. But it's the first one. So you look at the first tournament of like Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic and stuff. I'm pretty sure there were a lot of things that went
Wow.
haywire. And look where they're at
I
now.
mean,
You know what I
Magic
mean?
is like very specific. Like they were the first ones that ever really try it. So like
Period. Right. So I can just
here,
imagine there were a hell
here
of
we
things that went
are.
wrong with that
Here we are,
too. So
25
and look at
years.
where they
Yeah,
are
25
now.
years in the making, and they're
Exactly.
still going strong. So,
Yes,
um,
sir. And you know what? If this game is out for 20 years, 20 years from now, somebody will still have something to say. Well, I think this should be this, and I think that should
right,
be that.
right.
But
No, I hear
whatever.
you. I hear you. Uh,
Can't please
no.
everybody, as the saying
So
goes.
when did you get in? You get in. You got in Friday, right?
Yeah, I got it Friday. I was gonna come in Thursday night, and I was sitting there thinking like while I'm at work that day because I was supposed to take off Thursday as well and just come up Thursday morning because I'm only 2 hours away, not even 2 hours, depending on how bad post getting off the turnpike get into
Right.
Philly because I live in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Uh, Depending on how bad that was, it'd be a solid 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours. But yeah, so quick, 2 hours to get there, and I'm like, my girlfriend's gonna have the baby like for a couple days, so I was like, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
stay until Friday and just jet out Friday. I was like, I got all day Friday to
Yeah.
play test. Stayed with we planned this since maybe 2, 3, 4 months ago. I was talking to Jamie, Powered
Mm-hmm.
by Primus. Shout out to them, and he offered me to stay with them. So automatically, I was like, yeah, hang with the Colorado
Mm-hmm.
boys, and set that up and did an Airbnb with them.
Nice.
Very
Nice.
cool
Where
group of
where
guys. Glad
do
it
you know
worked out how it
what
did.
area you were in for your Airbnb? Like where your
Where what?
Airbnb was?
Uh, I mean, I know the street name. I don't know. I mean, it's like it was like three
Oh,
miles
okay.
away
So
from
you were further
still.
than we were then.
Oh
Because
yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
like
So
just a mile away. So yeah.
nice,
Because like I
nice.
wasn't. I mean, like I
No,
didn't have plans to stay down there at all actually, but we had a couple guys
okay.
like bail out of the B&B in the last minute. I was like, well, whatever. I'll just stay there
Yeah,
with the guys and just have a good time. What are we gonna
yeah,
do?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but
Huh.
yeah, it was a cool weekend. I did I got we had like a big dinner, like team dinner, like kind of just to celebrate the year and everything.
Yeah, I wish I could have stayed, but then like
No,
on
I'm talking
that.
about from Thursday. Thursday.
Oh, the
Yeah.
beginning. Okay, okay, I got you.
Yo, bro,
Skipping ahead.
we got like a whole couple days to talk about. No, you're
My
good.
bad.
So we had like a big like team dinner. It was like just Scott, me, Vince, Palmer, Gabe, Machado, Andrew. All of us were kind of just had a good dinner. Cameron was there.
Oh, is George Machado part of the patron?
George Machado is part of the team. Yeah.
Oh, well, there's an
Yeah.
announcement. Did not know that unless it was an
Hey man,
announcement to
he
me.
wore a
I was.
VectorSigma shirt all weekend, bro.
I swear to God, I
Yeah.
didn't look. I was looking at that cool beard of
Nah,
his.
George Machado, Andrew Duvall, they're Team PPG joined up with. They tested with us this week or this month for Energon Invitational. So we
Lit.
just
That's
joined up.
broken. I love Machado's play prowess. I like watching him play. I know he's a vet and playing card games. You can just tell by the way
Yeah,
he plays.
and Andrew, you
Very
might
cool
not
guy.
even know who Andrew Duvall is, but by the
I see
time
his
we're
face.
done this, you'll know because he's the reason I won the whole thing. So,
Lit,
um,
lit.
but yeah, we just we got in Thursday, had a nice little dinner, and then went home. Tested a little bit, and then we just called it. Next day for
Right.
us. Like I don't know about for you. but for us it was kind of a mess because Friday
Mm,
morning we were supposed to have an interview with Drew at 10 a.m.
okay.
and then it got pushed to 12, and then it
Mm.
got pushed to 3. So like we ended up sitting around all day, and like we just wasted like we basically wasted the whole day. We were just like sitting there talking to everybody, like just doing whatever. But like I was kind of planning like get there at 10, do the interview, and then like get some testing in for the day or something like that. Like we
Right.
just didn't do that. Like
Oh,
so
well,
we
there's
just
that.
got like so finally we did the interview. It ended at like 4 ish or whatever. We went right to dinner, and then we came back from dinner and we came in the hall. And then we tested all night. Yeah,
Oh,
so,
okay, nice.
but did you check out the LCQs at all?
Yes, yeah, I went in and I actually made it into the first one. Didn't think I would, but I made it towards the first one, and they ran a little over 11:30. That's when the first one was
Right.
supposed to start. And I was gonna play, and then like the more and more I talked to more people, they were kind of because I was skeptical about
Yeah.
entering, and then I was finding out. So the part that really turned me off from it was like, yeah, you could enter, but it's a little different here. Yes, it passes down, but okay, you go 4-0, but the people that you beat, the other 3 people that you beat, because the potentially, I guess the 4th person you play is probably, if you beat them, obviously it should pass
Right.
down to them
Right.
most likely. But everybody else you beat,
Right.
they're out, and that's it because you have to go 4-0, and then they have to spend another $27. So now you're digging into their
Right.
pockets to have to go try again, and just just put more stress on them. So it was a little different for the Energon Invitational qualifiers throughout the a couple
Right.
of months ago. But for this, I definitely didn't feel comfortable with that, so I just stayed back and just kind of watched and see what everybody was
Well,
playing. Saw my overwhelming
well,
advantage. Oh,
yeah.
go ahead.
Like my
Go ahead.
my thing with it was that it was single elimination. So like I mean, like I
Yes,
get it.
right,
They wanted to keep firing them. Like and if you took a
right.
round one loss, chances are you weren't. You're not gonna win the event anyway, right? Like even if it's just 4 rounds, even if you go 3-1,
Hmm.
you're not the guy winning the event. So I understand why they did it, but I would have preferred them to not be single limb because I would have probably played in one also.
Exactly. That's what I
So
yeah,
I guess
pretty
they
much.
wanted to keep them small, so it made
Yeah.
sense. But what are you gonna do? But
Yep.
yeah, I saw a lot of shockwave, a lot of overwhelming shockwave. I did see that.
Yeah, I so I gotta talk
Yeah,
about that
yeah,
for a second. It's like I mean, now ever since the card was revealed, overwhelming advantage, we saw that before we saw the other 2 cards that put it into fruition to get me start thinking about making build for it. But so we saw overwhelming, and then they showed us terrified
mm,
resilience, and immediately I'm like, finally another card shockwave can
yeah,
play off the top. And then I still wasn't thinking about OA because I'm like, okay, that's cool. But then they showed it, not saying it couldn't work then because terrified resilience really kind of put it into motion. I'm not saying I guess you could have did it other ways too,
yeah,
but you
yeah,
get what
yeah,
I'm saying. And then they showed us wedge formation. So wedge formation was like, oh, here
mm,
we go. It's perfect. So once I saw those 3, then I started thinking about, started writing deck lists in my phone over and over. Realized Decepticon Crown was a card that we could play outside of
yeah,
Starscream
yeah, yeah,
and put some other decks. And I'm like, oh snap, this could actually be a thing. And I was like, the whole idea was just like how I, when I constructed it. It's like you're stealing your opponent's hand while you're setting up for this OA turn, but you don't necessarily care. You care, but you don't care. And I don't know. Yeah, it seemed pretty cool. It's like you're stealing their hand, and if they do play any cards to remove your upgrades, to not play anything to boost their attack or to whatever. So you're still ahead because you're like, okay, your shockwave still
right.
has probably like all this health. You know what I mean? Like you're not taking much damage. So
Yeah, I didn't.
yeah, so that was kind of scary to see because I didn't think that people were gonna play it like that. To be honest with you, and I was like, whoops, because I told my girlfriend about it prior to posting the video. She was like, why would you post that before the invitation? And I was like, I
No.
don't know. It's like I need content. It's like
Oh,
no,
yeah. Well, we all know about that, right?
but yeah. But no, I just didn't think it was gonna pop off like that.
Yeah,
But Skylar was like a pretty big advocate for him, for the guy that topped with Dreadwing
yeah,
at or Origins. He was playing the hell out of it and like messaging me about
yeah.
updates on
I,
it and
I
stuff. So,
know.
but yeah,
I talked to I think Adam Eichenberg in round 8, and I know he
yep,
played a variant version of it is, and he
yeah.
had
Yeah, he's the one that brought up Swindled to me, a card I forgot totally about. I'm like, oh yeah, the card was so overshadowed by confidence, I
yeah,
forgot about it because it's a Decepticon card, and if you play it off the top, you're essentially only discarding one
yeah,
card, not 2, since
yeah.
you're playing off the
That's
top.
fair. But I think he told me he was like 3-1 like in constructed with it, so I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh well, at least it's working. I didn't
Yeah,
play
yeah.
any games with the Shockwave version. Like we had like double Megatron version and stuff like that. And there was
So why only two
no, it
tall?
was sorry, I take that back. It was
Oh,
Demolisher, Starter Megatron,
oh,
uh,
okay.
Impactor,
And the one
no
that let
Impactor,
you cheat another
Impactor,
upgrade?
and
Okay.
the Top Shot. So it was four wide,
Okay.
but it presented a way for
Right.
Demolisher and um, Megatron. That was like something
Nice.
early on that they were talking about a lot, and I know that some of the team members were working on that. So
Okay. Yeah, tank was like the immediate like one, but I never like
yeah,
went the tank route because the only tank deck I personally want to play was the obvious Impactor, Demolisher, Lord Megatron. I love that deck. It's like my okay, it's not
it's not your
my favorite.
favorite.
Who am I kidding?
Yeah, it's not your
Shockwave's my
favorite.
favorite, but it's close because I love
Yeah,
that deck.
that
So
deck didn't seem to do
yeah.
very well on the weekend.
Yeah, unfortunately, but I got a build that I made afterwards, after insight from talking to people throughout the
Mm-hmm.
weekend and stuff, and it involves cutting improvised shield. I know it sounds crazy, but I got a video involving talking about the evolution of deck building, and I'm probably wrong, but at the same time, I don't.
Listen, bro,
I think
I only played two handheld
it's a
blasters in my
thing.
blue deck.
Yeah, you and seeing that only further encouraged what I was planning to do. I will say this and end on this note. It's right now, especially with blue
Mm-hmm.
being a thing, it's not about high numbers, except for when you get hit for 20 something by Battlefield Legend in top four. But besides, but it's not about high numbers unless you're that deck. It's about efficient numbers
Right.
and getting
No, I
damage in.
agree.
So, especially with the Pierce tank
Yeah.
deck. So
Uh,
I'm excited for the
Right.
future of that deck.
Right. All right. Well, I guess let's get into Saturday.
Yeah.
So like, let's retrace our steps for a moment. In
Okay.
May, they announced this whole OP, right? And
Mm-hmm.
we've talked
My
about
ears
this over
perking.
and over again and all our things. But from May until
Mm-hmm.
now, we had been waiting 6 months, right? Like you and
Right.
I,
Right.
we got queued at Origins, so we were going. We knew we were here, right? We were waiting
Yeah.
since
Absolutely.
Father's Day, since Father's
Yeah.
Day
Happy Father's Day.
to play in this thing, man. Like what was going through your mind all morning?
The seal
Mm,
portion. I was confident enough to at least go 2-0. That was the goal, to go 2-0 to not stress, going
right.
into sealed. And that was pretty much the only thing. I was just stressing sealed because I don't know what to expect except for, it was the obvious. Hopefully you pull decent
Right. Yeah,
or better. But
I
that was really
like
it.
that morning. Like we got breakfast, and like I was just kind of going over in my head like how I was hoping the day would go, and like it's just like you said,
Mm-hmm.
like goal number one on the day, start 2-0, and like goal number
Right.
two of the day is like get out of sealed at least 2-1, right? It's like if I
Yes.
can start the event 4-1, then like I'll feel pretty comfortable about the rest of the day. So
Right.
I have to agree with that it felt it it didn't feel like it was like necessary, and we can get into why it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
necessary to start 2-0, mainly because Ian, no, I'm sorry, not Ian, Aiden, yeah, your opponent in top eight, Aiden lost round one. Yeah, he
Oh, yeah.
started 0-1
That's
and
right. Yeah.
he ran the day back, so like it wasn't
Yeah.
you didn't have to do it, but it felt like it was a hell of a lot harder on him to take that first loss early. So like for
Right.
me, it was just like, man, I really want to get through the first 5 rounds of 4-1. Like I think if I can do that, then I'll feel comfortable with the rest of the day type scenario. When did you take your first loss?
Give me a second. My headphone
It's
popped
okay.
up. Do I
A
sound
little bit,
different?
yeah. Oh, there you go. You're
Hello.
back.
Oh, okay. Cool. Um, what was your question again?
What round did you take your first loss?
Round
Oh,
two.
okay.
Round two against Jetfire Aimless, a deck that I shout out to Richard, the guy that got first place
Right.
after Swiss, with the Jetfire Aimless deck. I saw his article. I glimpsed over it, the post anyway, not the
Yeah.
actual article, because he posted it days prior, and I really didn't take it seriously because I'm like, I saw the 2 wide on stream at PPT Dallas, and then I seen the article, and I still didn't care enough to read it, and I wish I did to kind of get an
Mhm.
insight on it. I mean, not that I know I'm gonna run into it, but like, I already knew that now, okay, this goes twofold. On the Jetfire end, it's like it's a counter to Shockwave because they don't steal your hand and you're never top decking just
Right.
about. On my end, I'm like, been telling people all weekend to not really, I won't say not care about Shockwave's effect. Of course, if you have your opponent only has 2 cards in hand and you have a Shockwave flip and or UFO slash Gamma Launcher, you're going to steal the 2 cards. But at the same time, you really don't care about that. If he didn't have that text and he only had to play off the top of the deck effect, I would still play him. Like, that's what I care about the most. So I didn't care about that part as much. We just played regular Transformers at that point. And that's just my opinion on it. So, but yeah, I just got overwhelmed by not being able to get enough damage. That was the issue. It wasn't even him having a hand. It was once he got 3 extra paddings on, even my Shockwave at 12 was only pushing maybe 1. Like, I have double Gamma Launcher, and then he shuts me down when he finally sees the Sabotage, and now I have to fish back up, for 2 Gamma Launchers, which is going to be a lot harder, while he's still doing whatever he wants to do. And then he actually, I got 2-0'd, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he War of Attrition me for game 2, and I'm like the triple.
Yeah, card's good,
like,
right?
Well, yeah. Well, I didn't.
The card's good. It's a good card. It really is.
I'm not gonna lie, I overlooked it, but I like it now. So, but yeah, he beat me with it after seeing a couple people playing it this weekend.
I for what it's worth, I would have loved to have time to find room for it in our list because the card is pretty strong.
Amen. Yeah, definitely. I'm looking to play it myself.
So you start 1-1. We go into sealed.
Yep.
I was fortunate. Yep. I completed goal 1. I started 2-0. So
nice.
We go into sealed. Were you worried starting 1-1?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I was very. It was very nerve-wracking because it was like I lose 1 in that, I think I'm out for the top 8. Because like I'd have to go 7-2. I had to win the rest, and I had to hope that my. How does tiebreakers work? If the person you lost to, you worry about their tiebreakers, right?
Yeah. You gotta hope that they continue to win. Yeah.
Just went out, so that's what So that was.
Which, for what it's worth, I guess it worked out because, he won out. Well, he took a loss somewhere, but.
Well, close, yeah, but he did pretty well still throughout the day.
He finished first place overall.
So that was the issue. Yeah. So now I was already stressing. I was stressing about it weeks prior, and now the Vince there was stressing out about it before the event. Now I'm 1-1 and it's right there, so I'm super stressed. And I'm like, man, can I just pull something decent to get through this and just because it was really only 6 rounds when you think about it of the constructed. You just got to get through the sealed. But so I assume that's going to be another segue.
Yeah. So what did you end up playing in sealed?
My seal was broken. I'm glad you asked. My seal was ridiculous. Now, I say that, but I say that also with sorrow on my heart for every other person that was prepared for this event and got bodied by sealed and didn't pull as well, and just like that threw off their whole, equilibrium of having a decent record coming out of sealed going back into constructed. But my seal pulls, I pulled a Ion Storm, then I pulled another Ion Storm back to back, and I'm like, so first thing that came to my mind is like, can I play both of these? Because I did not know. So I'm like, okay, double Ion Storm, that's pretty good. And then I forgot whatever was in my third pack.
Man, if that was on like stream or something, that would just been for the memes.
Yeah. So, and then my second, long story short, my team ended up being Ion Storm, Laserbeak, the guy that gets Pierce 2 Pierce 2, and then Trigger Happy.
He seems okay.
Only that, go ahead. Yeah. And then not only that, I had like 7 weapons, and they were all the good ones. I had 1 RR Disruptor Blade. I had 1 Sturdy Javelin. I had 1 Soldier's Blaster. I had 1 Crowbar. I had 1 the Dismantling Claw. I had an Anticipation Engine.
I think your deck was better than mine.
My deck was broken. Like, God is good. Like, I'm glad I didn't have to stress about that. So that was an easy 3-0, and I ain't gonna lie, that carried the hell out of me too. So that really perked me up and got me awake and focused going into round 6.
When I was opening my packs, I wasn't even really paying attention, right? Because like we were registering and stuff like that. So like I kind of just opened them, and like I like had kept like a note of like certain things that I had gotten and stuff. I was like, oh, it seems okay. Whatever. Once I get into it and start building, then like we'll see where I'm at. So I remember like not really evaluating it like while I was opening. I was just kind of like just focused on just making it through that process of the registering and all that crap. So and then I would like worry about it, because I didn't want to like sit there and stew and be like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? Like I didn't want to do that. Like long story short, I 3-0'd also. So I ended up with Major Prowl, Raider Caliber, Tailwind, and Detour. Um, I'm
Oh,
gonna do
okay.
a whole video on it because I think, and it was even proven to me. But the person who registered my deck, like he wrote on Facebook, he's like, your pool didn't really look very good. I don't understand how you 3-0'd. And I'm like, I don't know, my pool is really good. So I think people, like the guys that were sitting next to you, they were asking like, oh, how much limited testing did you do? And I was like, I did enough. And like, to be honest,
Right.
enough for me was one event. I didn't
Mhm.
need I didn't need to play in multiple events. I didn't need to build 100 sealed pools because like we were able to quickly evaluate the limited format and like target things in a weird way. Um,
No, I understand exactly what you're saying.
so for us, we had decided that if you could get 4 playable characters, that you should always go 4 wide. Like you should just start as bugs, basically. Like
Right.
my deck lined up, like my pool lined up to be that perfectly. Like my deck was like 10 oranges, like this is like just the pip layout regard like as a whole, like 10 oranges, like 11 blacks, and like 1 blue, 8 whites, like all those pip colors just kind of just like meshed all well together. And then it was like like I
Yeah,
had
that's pretty
like
good.
a smoke thrower, I had the combat dagger, like I had all these like bold weapons, and then I had a crowbar, and I
Oh, I had a
right.
combat
So
dagger
like I
too.
had like all these
Yeah.
weapons that gave bold, and I had 2 guys with stealth,
Right.
and then I had a weaponizer. So it's like I'm like, all right, well I'm gonna load up these 2 guys with stealth that nobody can attack. So it's like, so
Right.
it's
Exactly. So there's so many hidden
and
things.
then
Yeah,
like
definitely. I'll be looking forward to that
I
video.
had in
Yeah.
my third my round 3. This was like the one round where like I had an energy transfer, and it was set up like 2 rounds in a
Right.
row. It was like where like I would attack with a cow burst. He was playing too tall, and I was like, all right, I'll attack with the cow burst. He's like, okay, run the cow burst, and I was like, okay, attack with my major prowl. He's like, all right, I'll run into
Right.
major prowl. I'll deal like 6-7 damage, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna energy transfer 7 damage to my tailwind that he has no way to interact with.
Mm.
So it's like
Right.
it's just waiting there. It's waiting to die, but he has no way to interact with it. And it's like, yeah, that's a tailwind with 7 damage, just smoke thrower on it that just did 12 to you. So it's like these little itty bitty things that I think a lot of people missed throughout the day. I'm like, I played all 3 of my opponents played blues, played like 5, 6, 7 blues in their deck.
Hmm.
I don't know how much you tested the format and figured it out, but like blues aren't very good because like
Nope. I had like three in.
everyone's playing like 10
Yeah.
blacks. So it's like it does like, oh,
Hmm.
you block for 4, yeah, take 4. Like
Yeah. Take four
it just
anyway.
doesn't matter. It's like you have a bigger they are every turn. So it's like when all these
Right.
people were complaining about their seal pulls and stuff like that, I would really ask them to go and really look at their pull and see if they honestly think they made the best deck they could. Because I know in the coming weeks we're going to be releasing all of our sealed informations that we did for our patrons and stuff like that, of how we were building and
Hmm.
how we were evaluating the format. But for us, like it was very very hard to truly get a bad pull. Like yeah, it's possible. Don't get me wrong. And yes, it's possible you don't
Right.
get a good 10-star character and you don't get a good 12-star character, like stuff like that. Like of course you can get those things. But I do believe that we came up with a strategy that was like you could really utilize and really work with. So for me, it was like I know like I had a Captain Starscream, and I think like Scott had even said to me at the end of the day because I think I would have built the Starscream version of the deck and not played 4 wide. I'm like, nah, I just went with 4 wide and just beat people's face. I felt it was like the complete opposite of my constructed deck. I'm like this controlling deck that's just like trying to like pick my spots. Like, nah, I played bugs and sealed. Like that's what I did. Like, so
Right.
it was a definitely a different pace on the day, but it took me to a 3-0, and it was a good feeling to start the event 5-0. I can tell you that much. So
Nice. That's really good.
the the sealed ends, which honestly, I will say this much. I thought the sealed process was going to take longer than it actually did. I thought
Okay.
cuz like I think we started at around like 12:30, 12:45. I think that was like part of
Hmm.
the time we were starting like the registration and stuff like that. I thought we weren't
Right.
going to start like the third round until like 3 p.m. And we ended up starting
Hmm.
about like 2:30. So it moved a little faster than I thought it was going to.
Well, that's
Yeah,
good.
and
Yeah.
then like I know every round there was a ton of games in sealed that went to time, which I
Yeah.
remember I hit you up because you had that 18-person tournament. I was like, yeah, how many rounds went to time? Like, did you guys like keep time? Because like I feel like it's gonna be a problem.
Mhm. Yep.
And like I think Scott went to time twice in sealed. In the 3 rounds. Like it was just it's definitely I think it's just tough on new players not used to the format because it's like everything is like kind of slower. But
Yeah. Yeah. No, I understand.
I just I think I'd like to think for Seal that like maybe adding like just 5 minutes would make a difference in a lot of games. So
I
I don't
agree.
know, something to think about, right? So we
Yeah.
both get out. You're 4-1. I'm 5-0. We go into
Mhm.
round six. Um, how are you feeling now? So after you got the 3-0 this Seal, you're back in it. Like how did you feel about that?
Confident. Like I was definitely awake and not bummed
Right,
anymore. So I was definitely confident going in, like I was starting the entire
right.
tournament.
Well, here's
What
my
about you?
story time.
Okay.
So about 10 years ago, Dark Moon Fair Philadelphia was a WoW TCG event, and I did the same thing. Started 5-0, right? And then that tournament, I
Right.
finished ninth. I ended up dropping
Damn.
3 or 4 in the last 4 rounds, and I finished ninth, and I felt awful because I had the best deck in the room.
Yeah.
Scott top aided that event, and my friend Ziggy also top aided that event, playing the exact same deck that me and Scott had worked on for the event, and so like we had the best deck in the room, and I just crapshoot at the last 4 rounds basically. So
Damn.
like it was like setting in my mind, like man, like I've been here before. I don't want to mess this
Yeah. Brought
up,
back
like
bad
I don't
memory.
I don't want to mess this up. Like it's a bad feeling, but I just want to get that 6 win and just get over the hump. So
Absolutely.
what you end up playing, and do you remember your round 6 opponent?
Yeah. I actually wrote them all
Okay.
down. So just round six or
You can go the
the rest?
rest. Yeah, we can talk the rest. Go ahead, you start.
Yeah. Round six, I played against a mirror,
Oh,
and he played things like um, pocket processor and like reprocess, which I understood, but the pocket processor I was shocked by. And game two was funny. I laughed at
hmm
myself because I sided in Cali Burst and he played the pocket processor still anyway. Not that it's like the worst thing, but it was like, bro, you're taking a minimum of 1 damage for free like, every turn. Like eventually it's gonna roll over and like
I,
eat your
I didn't talk
shockwave.
about this.
Unless you kill my Cali Burst, obviously. But like and then it flips shock. That's like it's a
Right,
plasma burst,
right. I
you
didn't
know?
I didn't talk
So I'm
about this in
like,
sealed, but my calibers did like 13 damage that way. I had a
oh my
game
god.
where my opponent has like 2 characters left, and he has like 7 damage on one guy and 5 damage on another guy. And he's like, play pep talk, and I'm like, take 2. Like he's just like, oh god, like why did I do that? Like I just
It's such a
like
weird interaction. People
right,
forget
like
about it. My opponent still reminds me to take
right,
one sometimes. I'm
right,
like, oh
right.
yeah,
But it
it's a
was
new
it, it
thing.
was the
Yep,
same concept. It was like they're just so
yep.
in their play that like you're just like they're like pep talk. You're like, yeah, you just take 2. Thanks for plasma
Plasma burst.
bursting
Yup.
yourself. That was really nice of you.
Yeah,
Yeah. Go ahead,
for free.
continue.
Yep. So yeah, round six I played against Shockwave. I think I won that 2-0. So that was nice because that mirror match can really take a while. So it was nice to be able to have some. I had a lot of extra time at the end of my rounds. I played pretty
hmm
fast already myself, so I think my opponent kind of naturally just kind of plays a
Yeah,
little
that's good.
faster. So I really am not trying to go to
Right.
time. Like I did post a time video prior
I
to
know.
the
I
event,
laughed when I
and
saw it.
so
I laughed.
yeah. So I've been waiting for a while to post that. I was like, this is the perfect time to
Yeah.
put it out there. So round seven, I played against Lord Megatron, and this one is controversial for myself because. So I want to talk about
Yeah.
it for a second. He, cool dude. We were sitting at table 2 or 3, no, probably 3 or 4, and towards the end, we have a whole bunch of people around us. And this is one of those things, and I will mention this again when I do my deck profile for my
Mm-hmm.
Shockwave deck. This is one of those things. So there's a guy, and I might have mentioned this in the previous finals
Mm-hmm.
conversation, but Patrick Hoban, very good
Mm-hmm.
Yu-Gi-Oh player. He has 8 championships total, 8. One being nationals, 3 YCS championships were like the bigger Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments, and then 4 ARG wins, ARG Ultra Reality Games. He won
Okay.
4 of those. And out of his 8 championships, you're like, man, that guy's really good. This, that. You know, it's like, oh, well, he won another one. He won another one. But something that he mentioned in one of his deck profiles that I'll never forget is there are a lot of times he actually shouldn't have even topped the event. And a lot of his wins are based off of his opponent's mistakes.
Oh, we'll get into that later.
It's not something that everybody thinks about, though. People just assume that people are just like so good, and it's like, but yeah, if their opponents would have been playing, did something correctly. Of course, misplays are there, and people are we're human. We're gonna make mistakes, and I mean, I'm pretty sure all of us have still made mistakes. Even like
I punted a game in top 4.
I have. Yeah, and we will continue to. So. It's just going to happen. But it's just to think, like, somebody of his stature having 8 titles, and then when he says something like that, it really takes you aback and makes you think. It's like, make sure you try to capitalize off your opponent's mistakes, because if you can, you just steal that game or you steal that whatever. So him saying that really stuck with me. It was like, if my opponent would have did this or would have did that, I wouldn't even made the top 32, thus winning the tournament. And I'm sitting there like, well, damn. So that leads me to talk about the Lord Megatron guy. So he had a lot of people around us. I'm fine with a whole bunch of people watching. I'm not.
You're used to it.
I'm at this point, right? But he is, but he isn't. I have 2 or 3 cards left in my deck, and so a sequence of things happen. He plays Hunker Down by Reflex with Lord Megatron in bot mode. Because Hunker Down says, probably the best card in the deck. You want to see that in your opening hand or sometimes at least once throughout the game. Love that card. And he plays it off a Reflex. And then at first I'm like, okay, cool. But then I see myself decking out and I'm like, did he just mess up? Because I would have lost. I would have lost if he didn't do that. And he did it. And he flips his Megatron down and I'm like, okay, so I milled 3, right? And he's like, yeah. And then he pauses because he realizes it too then.
Right.
And then I deck out and I reshuffle and I don't take how much ever Megatron has. And I'm like, yeah, and I wouldn't have died there, but I'll die to the attacks. And so I ended up winning the game solely because he messed up. So things like that,
Yeah.
So so then what happened immediately after that?
We take those, right?
What now?
We take those.
We take those. We take those. Hell yeah. So shout out to that guy though. Very cool dude. He's very trying to stay focused, and he was like super animated, so it's kind of hard to focus at times.
Was he the guy with the really big hair? Scott played him in the last round. Scott said the exact same thing. He said he was so much fun to play against.
Yeah, he's cool, but it was just had like the voices and everything.
Funny.
Cool guy. But I'm sitting there thinking like, wow,
man, we take those. We take those.
We take those. Well, I just lost my train of thought because I'm sitting here. Okay, so that was the other thing. So I had an energy pack in my hand for the longest time, and I honestly could have shot myself in the foot and like literally passed this right back, which would have been sick. Well, what ended up happening was I was so struck. I don't normally get like this, but when my opponent messes up like that, literally hands me the football to go the other way.
I know the feeling.
He had another attack. He had an attack with the Megatron, and I thought for whatever reason that it was my turn, and I went to draw for my turn, which I shouldn't have. And I kind of shuffled my hand because I'm so fast. Remember that thing I was talking about just a minute ago, how fast I am? That's actually a double-edged sword because I drew, shuffled, and then I'm like, oh, snap, you know what? My bad. You still have another attack. I went to go stack a card on top of my deck. It's the energy pack. Remember what I just said? The energy pack was already in my hand. So I'm stacking a card so first of all, why would I stack a card that's not going to help me in defense, first of all? Second of all, it's like, and then I noticed I heard somebody behind me say, he just put this and that on top. And so I was like, you know what? Whoa, hold on. So I had to tell him, I was like, wait. Something's wrong here. I was like, you mess it up, made me mess up. And so we had to reverse it. And he kind of just paused me when I was saying, he was like, I trust you. Don't worry about it, this and that. And there's like 20 people behind us watching. So I'm not going to cheat in front of all these people. That's the ultimatum what I'm getting at about cheating. I didn't want nobody thinking I'm trying to cheat. Why would I put an orange card on top of my deck that's not going to help me? If it was the other way around, you could probably call me out. But and I'm probably kept beating myself up about it more than anybody else. Nobody called me out.
You're coming forward, but like no one knows that this happened, really. So it's like you're coming forward now. It's like clearly you're, like it was an accident. Stuff happens.
Right. The guy, what's his name from Southern Fried?
Chris, right? Isn't it Chris? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I think so. Southern Fried. He was behind me and vouched for me. Not that my opponent had to take his word for it.
You could have called the judge. You could have done everything correctly. Like whatever.
Right. And I mean, he could have got me too, though, because I technically messed up. So it would have been crazy. But then I guess I wouldn't have felt bad. I was like, well, you should already beat me anyway. But then, it's just all those things happen within the span of 2 or 3 minutes. it was kind of crazy and had my heart pumping, something that I don't normally do, even under
Right.
pressure. But it was kind of
Oh, there
interesting.
you
So now that I spent, I don't know how long
go.
on that. Just real quick, my round 8 was against
Adam Bixler.
Bixler with the Airstrike Patrol General Prime deck. And that deck is strong. I already knew I wanted to play that deck. I've started with the off-road patrol with the 3 and then prime, and I knew I wanted to do the airstrike, but I just never built it. So seeing his in fruition, it was dope. That deck
Yeah.
is very strong. Like that deck a lot. But I ended up actually taking that 2-0 because I don't want to say stole game 1. He just simply didn't get my shockwave to death. He left me at 1, and I top decked another gamma launcher to put me at 12 attack, and he weakened himself with erratic lightning, so it just helped me just kill him, even if he did flip a blue. So I took that game, and then game 2, I had a clutch. I had a arm hovercraft, and I had another clutch one. I had a metal detector on Shockwave, and I drew the card that I wanted to draw off top of my deck. And then the next card, it was unexpected. The next card was another arm hovercraft. And I'm like, oh, well, attack. Get that hovercraft. And then that really just put me so far ahead. Ended up taking that. So then that obviously made me have a very huge breath of relief because now it was 7-1. And I knew whoever I played in the next round, we just tie, and I'm in there.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Hold on.
Oh, and then,
right.
which was
right.
you.
Well, we gotta come back to that. So, sorry.
Okay.
All right. So once again, back to my 5-0 story. Right. Like, all right, I start 5-0. I finish 9th. Right. So it's in my head. It's in my head. You know, like I'm not like I'm not like worried about it, but like it's in my head. So like in my head, I'm thinking like I got to get to 6 wins. Like that's what I need to do. And I got paired against Adam Bixler in round 6.
Oh, that's right, you did. I was sitting right next to you.
And it was 3 pretty close games. I won game 1 because of double security checkpoint. I've said this over and over and over again. Security checkpoint is my favorite card in this game, and I have 100% won more games because of security checkpoint than any other card in existence. And that card was very good to me all weekend. And I won game 1 because of 2 security checkpoints for sure. Game 2, he adapted really quickly and really well. And for Bixler's, just a huge shout out to him. He is the only player all weekend to adapt correctly against my deck. And his adaptation was, his first guy that attacks. If I told him to go first, his first guy to attack is going to attack my Optimus Prime. And I will talk about this until the end of time. That is the right play. Because it doesn't matter what type of damage he gets on Optimus Prime, it's damage. It started. Like the whole thing started. Like that guy has 21 health. You can't if you got a chance to hit him, you should hit him. Like you should just hit him. Like the chances of the deck winning without Optimus Prime are very, very minimal. You guys, like if anyone watching the stream or that goes back and watch the stream, like the game that I played against Bugs, my round the game 3 against him, he kills Optimus Prime, and I tried to finish the game and win with the little guys, and I was close. Like I almost did. If I had drawn a little differently, I may have had a shot. But for what it's worth, like I didn't win a single game in which Optimus Prime died. Like that's it. Like he died, and like I was like, oh, well, all right, it's probably the game, but.
I feel like, to be fair, I think isn't it like that usually in most 13, 7, 5 or
but
whatever.
The difference is that with this list was that like you had like the upgrades for the little guys, and you had like the pump spells and stuff like that. So like I could
That's
just
true. Yeah,
I hit throughout the weekend a couple like 10 or 11s with like a flame or a skydive if like I had double matrix or something like that. Like they could get up there. So but. We go into game 3, and we had an 11-minute ascension. We finished game 1, and they deck check us. So we're sitting there like for 10 minutes. Like what? Like I don't mind deck checks. I really don't. If you're gonna do a deck check, can you do it in the middle? Like just send over a guy in the first, so we don't have to start because like the moment like it's kind of like a momentum thing, right? So like I win game 1, I'm like, all right, I'm feeling good. But now, once again, Adam had 10 minutes to think about a strategy of how to beat my deck. Right? Like, I mean, that's how I'm looking at it. It's like he had 10 minutes. He had 10 minutes to think, like, oh, well, what can I do differently to win the game? And like, and I'm not sure if he made the call before or after the 10 minutes. Like, if he thought, like, because I know in game 1 he attacked Flame War, right? So like that's what he did game 1. Well, game 2 he's like, I'm gonna attack Optimus Prime. So like he had 10 minutes to think about what he was gonna do. So like it was a good call. It was a good decision by him, and like I said, credit to him once again. for making that play. And then game three, it
Yeah.
came down to the wire. Like literally, like he was making a decision if he wanted to flip or not. If he did flip, he would have just opened up more outs for me to win the game type thing.
Mhm.
So he stayed in his mode. He hit a couple nice doubles and stuff like that with his attack, and I drew a marksmanship. So I had to draw a
Nice.
leap or a bigger they are to win the game, and I drew the marksmanship. So had he flipped, I would have had it, and I would have won the game, and I would have started 6-0. But I didn't. Bixter got me. He was the only person to beat me best 2 out of 3 all weekend. So that kind
Okay.
of telegraphs the rest of this story. But um, to make matters worse, I started right. Like I took my first loss. I'm like, well, there I am. There's 5-1. Like here we go. Well, I get paired against Scott Landis.
Ooh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah,
Ugh,
yeah, yeah.
it was one of those feelings.
Of all people.
We're both
Yep.
X1. It's just a tough
Right.
moment. We're like, well, we got to play. We got to play. So I win game one, and I think it was I think I just outdrew him like and just like like I think I enthusiast for like 6 or something like that in the game. Like it was like it wasn't close. Like it was a really bad game, and then game two was like a slugfest. Like it was very very close and very drawn out. So when we finished game two, there was only 3 minutes left on the clock, and
Damn.
we're going back and forth, and we're like. We don't really want this to end with one of us losing because the other one just got like a lucky draw. So, like, we sat there and we're like, all right, why don't we just shuffle up and we'll just flip for whites, And
Right.
it was just that was just what we decided. It was just like we didn't want to we didn't want to draw in that moment because like if we draw, we both force ourselves to have to win out to both make top eight. But if one of
Right.
us wins, then we only have to win one more for one of us to get in, and the other one could go 7-2 and potentially still make it. Um,
Right.
but if we drew and we both took a loss, then we were both out. So it's like it just felt right. Like all right, let's just flip whites. Like let's just do it. So
Yeah.
we ended
Yeah.
up
Respect.
flipping 18 cards. Yeah, and
Damn.
I
You flip two at a
yeah,
time,
yeah.
right?
We flipped the first two, both hit a white. Flipped the second two, both hit a white, and then we flipped another 14 before I finally hit the last white to win in time, basically. So I
Wow.
got that win. I felt pretty good. I was like, all right, well there it is. There's my sixth win. I needed that. And then I went in round eight, and I played against Ian. Yeah, I
Oh,
played
okay.
against Ian in round eight, and I I I don't remember game one as much. I know I won game one, and he did the same thing he did in the finals. He boarded into Optimus Prime. I'm like, oh, like all right,
Mm.
I didn't expect that. Um, and just like in the final game of the finals, his Optimus Prime Battlefield Legend didn't untap. Like that guy attacked once and then I killed him. So, like I just that's what the deck does sometimes. I'm just like weapon leap in the battle and smack that guy for 15. Like it's just I don't know, the deck can do that. So
We're gonna talk about leap in the battle here again
yeah,
here in a
yeah.
little while. Let me tell you about how I missed leap in the battle. I'll just say that for now.
So there it was.
But yeah.
I got to 7 wins, just like you, 7-1. And I remember saying to you, I
Right.
was like, because I finished my game before you did. I came back and I watched you finish up with Bixler. And I was like, I told you, I was like, I'm pretty sure we're gonna play each other next round. I was like, so we're good, like we're good. Like it's one of
Yeah.
those. It's like,
Yeah. That's it.
the standings get released, pairings get up, and here it was, Dan Arnold versus Steffon Pickney. And I'm like, well, Dan
Sounds
Arnold
familiar.
versus Steffon Pickney is in they're in the top eight again. How about that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um,
Yes,
so
sir.
what I know for you, it was very important to top eight this event because you wanted you wanted that resume stat and you got it. Like congratulations to you.
Yeah, it was only important because I did it at
Right,
all the other
right,
previous events. It wasn't something that I wanted to achieve until I top eight
yeah,
at Gen Con. When I top eight at Gen Con, I was like, whatever else comes up this year, I want to keep top eight because Origins I was super confident. Gen Con
hmm
I was not, but I got
right,
there anyway. And so at that point, yeah, I was like, let's
right.
keep doing this. So
But yeah, achievement unlocked, top eights
yeah,
around. Um,
yes, sir.
how relieved were you?
Oh, very relief,
Yeah,
very, very. I was very happy. Very
yeah. I
happy.
mean,
I give
it was like
glory to God at the end of every one of my rounds. It definitely got me.
yeah, it was
So very much very
it was
blessed.
probably like 10 o'clock at night. We just
Hmm.
played for 12 hours.
Yep.
Um, and it was just a like, all right, like this worked, like we got there type thing,
Yeah,
so
it worked out. Thank you, Ion Storm.
yeah, I'll just thank my whole
No.
crew. It's fine.
Yeah.
um,
No, Ion Storm is just ridiculous. Like I had like no fear going in anything. Like I would send them in before Trigger Happy because I know they actually cared about. And that's another thing I want to
yeah,
talk about real quick.
yeah.
Backtrack just a second. They focused on Trigger Happy more, which I
He's.
understand. But then it's like, but
I mean, in
Ion Storm, and
fairness,
then
you
like
had
you kill him, and then you deal with a full health Ion Storm, and then at that point I suit him up with the EM-24 launcher. Oh, that's another one I had about to
man,
mention. I had an
your deck
EM-24
was good.
launcher, and yeah, and you to put a mini energy pack, the
Yeah, I
minor
had one
medic
of
kit.
those.
So like he's at 16 now, and I'm like, yeah, 10 with 16 health,
It's,
kill Trigger Happy,
I
cool.
mean, for what it's worth, you had two pretty good characters to focus on.
That's
So,
why I said, hey,
I mean,
yeah,
like Sturdy
yeah,
Javelin Trigger Happy seems okay. Seems
just a little bit.
okay. How many guys you kill out of combat with Sturdy Javelin?
I've done
I
it. I
did
did it
it.
twice
I did it
throughout
like
my.
in every round. Like I
Nice.
the one guy I played, he was Soundwave with the Rat Bat or whatever I think it was, and like he was like,
Hmm.
oh yeah, attack my Rat Bat. I'm like, okay. Like I put it to like 8 or 9, and then he's like, okay, attack with Soundwave, untap my guy. I'm like, okay. Put a Sturdy Javelin on my dude, shoot that guy, attack you. Like it's just like, yeah,
Right,
I don't
right.
care about
That's
your untap.
nice.
That guy's dead. Like like it happened.
I didn't know how important it was to pretend because I pulled Vanguard as well, Private
Okay,
Vanguard, and so I was like, do I play Vanguard and then turn sequence goes flip Trigger Happy, attack with Vanguard. He may survive, whatever. If he doesn't, now +2 on
right.
Ion Storm, or probably Trigger Happy maybe. And then it's like next turn I flip Trigger Happy back and then grab a weapon back. But right there, I have to have a weapon a lot earlier than if I just go with Ratbat because Ratbat or not Rat Laserbeak. If I go flip Laserbeak, I don't know if I said Ratbat earlier too, but it was Laserbeak.
Okay,
But I with this sequence it's flip Laserbeak attack, get a guaranteed at least
yeah,
2 minimum. Then next turn flip Trigger Happy, attack with Trigger Happy in the mode he wants
right,
to be in, and then next turn flip him to get a weapon because at that point I've had 2 combats and 2
right.
defenses. There should be my grave should be filled a lot more at that point to potentially finally actually have a weapon to flip if I don't already have one in my hand, and then get whatever I want back from the scrap to put on Ion Storm, and then he
Yeah,
goes in. So that strategy worked out better. Like I said, I did when I played Vanguard because I could flip Trigger Happy immediately, but I think the way I had it, and then plus you have 4 more health from the Rat Bat versus or the Laser Beak versus the
yeah, and
Vanguard.
I
So.
mean, I get it. The for me the Vanguard, like it's just an armor. Like the white thing, the
Yeah,
white thing will rarely matter because like
right,
people aren't
right,
swinging for like a lot all the time. So it's like
exactly,
especially not early, and that guy's
exactly.
not gonna live late anyway. He only has 5 health, so like he's gonna
Yeah,
like his effect's never gonna matter. Like so.
right.
But yeah,
It was probably better off like a 4 wide deck or something, so I just stuck with
yeah.
on
I
and
will
kept
say that
running
was the
that.
one thing weird about my deck is that I didn't have anyone that flipped that it mattered.
I keep saying
So
Ratbat.
like I would
Yeah,
like spend like the first like 3 or 4 turns like just not even flipping. Like it was just like I'm
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah. Right.
I guess I don't even have to do any of this. I don't know. And
Yeah. No, Laserbeak
someone
was the
asked me if I
truth.
had a detour, if like I had to like if I ever used detour's ability. I'm like, no, that guy attacked for 5. like no.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I did pull Road Hugger, but I didn't pull enough blue to cater to it. And like we were talking about earlier about playing as much blue, I didn't want
Right,
to do it
right.
anyway. So unless I had the sports car patrol leader guy, he wasn't going to be included. Unless I pull like some good blue cards, and then it was like, oh well, Road Hugger, giving 3 to a guy's not bad. So, but yeah, for sure.
Well,
Now, Laserbeak was the truth because it was nice how his effects scaled up. Because if I flip like 2 oranges and then 2 blacks, now he was, 4 Pierce 4. It was a big AR out of nowhere. So his 2 guaranteed, and so it was
right.
pretty cool. Yep.
Let's talk top 8.
So, hey.
Um so yeah, so I actually have the deck list up now. Um
Cool.
you played the mirror match on top 8.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Aiden.
Aiden.
Yeah.
Let's.
Very cool guy. Shout out to him from Toronto.
I'll have Aiden's deck list up in front since you're here to talk about yours. I think your lists were pretty different. They
Yeah.
look because I was looking at your list earlier. and his definitely looks a little different than yours. How did you? Because like we didn't. This is the one thing I will say. We didn't have deck list, so like we didn't.
Okay,
No, I'm saying like we
right,
didn't
that's true.
know what our opponents had,
Who was
like,
playing what?
which for me
Right.
is uncommon. I know in like every other game I've ever played that I've ever top 16 or top 8 at, an event, like we were always gifted our opponent's deck list and had time to like the night before test and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
John Temple, he sat with us at the top four because we all drew in. He sat with us like while the round was going on in round 9, and he told us like, yeah, we're not going to give out deck lists because there wasn't any media coverage or anything like that. So, not everything is known and yada yada yada. And like for what it's worth, for me, I did not know what William was playing at all. I had no
Um,
idea. Actually, I didn't know until I got back to the B&B when Andrew told me that, oh, I played against him. So like Andrew was able to help me out and plan at least a little bit, like, so I had an idea of what I was getting into, which was like that. It's
oh,
just
that's
like,
good.
yeah, because like I had no idea what William was playing. So,
Right.
um,
Yeah.
how did you feel about going into the Shockwave mirror though?
I was confident because I played the range package.
Right,
Gotta give Scott Landis, it manifested off of his list that he played at the qualifier at the comic book store that Joe from Wreck and Rule went and won with the
right,
anticipation cards.
right.
So that's where a lot of it manifested from, but my characters changed up. Of course, clearly Sights was an easy partner
That
for
guy's not
Shockwave,
good,
and
right? Jesus.
he was the easy partner. And then actually 3 days before the event, I fingered across while I was looking through my characters, just looking for other 5-star range characters because it was Fireflight before it was
Oh, thank God you
Tailwind.
didn't play Fireflight.
Well, it was working.
Stop
It
it.
was fine how it was, but it
Stop
was no.
it.
I mean, from my testing, it was fine. To be fair,
Yeah, guess what?
but what I
Ian would have crushed that Fireflight more than he crushed anything else.
yeah, probably yeah, especially because he was playing lead in the battle for sure, for sure. But yeah, so I ran across Tailwind, and then I'm like, huh. Well, how many greens do I play? 6. So I went up to 8, put him in there, and it was broken. It wasn't like, okay, it wasn't broken, but it was really good. He has one more health. He can hold his own. You can't attack him. You can actually formulate it to where you attack with Shockwave before you, attack with the Tailwind. So that way, Shockwave takes a hit, but I play Callus Leadership, so I actually plan it that way for multiple reasons because I can throw that damage from Callus onto sites, et cetera, et cetera. And then, when Tailwind attacks, he gets a whatever type of attack in. And then when we stand, you can't attack him again because he
Right.
has stealth. And the biggest thing about all that is that he's hidden, so I can keep using my range
Right.
card. I can keep using hovercraft. I can keep using. So it's like the opposite of Firefly, where you attacking the Firefly, and then your other guy, your red alert, stayed
Right.
alive or whatever. It was perfect. And sights, you could actually put it on to Tailwind because a lot of times I was trying to find energy pack mid to late game for Shockwave anyway, or I had a field communicator on him and I valued that extra 1 attack because having that 12 attack, when he's fully suited, it was really nice. So I would put the sights on Tailwind, and then now he's a 4-2, or maybe even actually a 5-2 with armed hovercraft, and I could focus 2. And whenever I found one of my sparring gears or bashing shield when I sided it in, it just like Bixler's deck, it's +3 out of all of a sudden, and he's like swinging
Right.
for 8. Or like if I play the bigger they are, he's
Right.
at 10, and like your opponent just does not account for that, and he's like helping Shockwave out, putting in work. So
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
it
I
was nice.
agree. The Tailwind was probably like the best kept secret that may have not actually been a secret because
Right,
like from like day one we had him in like 5 or 6 lists. Like that's how good he was. Like
nice.
we were just like, wow, this card's nuts.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
and for what it's worth, which I'll get into later, we were going to play Tailwind. So like, yeah.
Oh,
So
lit.
so
We're on the same
things
page.
things
Nice.
changed in the final moments, which I'll get into in the wrap up. But um,
Okay.
when we were sitting there, we didn't know that we were gonna play 5 games, right? Like you didn't know,
Really?
right? Like we you were.
No, I knew that.
When did
I
they
knew that
say that?
before. Like
They said it. They said. I thought,
they,
to me, I thought they just said it that morning. Like we got there and the judge was like, "All right, you guys are gonna play a best of 5," and I'm like, "Oh, I didn't know that."
nope. I knew prior. I want to say either Friday or sometime early Saturday. I knew for a good
Oh,
while.
okay.
If we made it, don't ask me from who because like I've talked to so
Right,
many
right.
people, but through the grapevine, I was hearing about that, and No, from nobody official either. Wasn't from
Okay.
Matt. What?
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't
So
hear that, so I didn't know. So I was actually caught off guard. Um,
yeah.
but how did you like? So you just felt good in the best of five, like you were like, all right, but
Oh yeah. So what ended up happening was I actually had a big advantage because of how the. I mean, first of all, with the range package, like I said, I kind of he kind of had me with the leap into battles, and he gets his shockwaves bigger than mine. And then but then there's their war of, well, if I sabotage armaments and get rid of your double gamma, your attack isn't as
right,
big. But so the first two games, what was really important is in the best 3 out of 5 currently, you cannot side deck till
right.
game 3.
I think it'll stay that way.
And apparently he had, yeah, so he apparently had Motor Master in his
Yeah,
sideboard, but guess what? He can't put it in for the
right.
first 2 games. So I'm burning him to death game 1 and 2. And I ended up, they were slow, but I ended up still taking both of those games. And we only had 75 minutes now. So yeah,
Yeah,
spoiler alert. They added another 25 minutes to, you want to add to
yeah.
that?
So like the 75 minutes, for what it's worth, when I heard it, I knew
Yep.
that there was like zero chance you guys were gonna play 5 games. Like I just knew. I'm like, there's
Yep.
no way they're gonna do Shockwave Mirror in 75 minutes. I'm like,
Nope.
that's not gonna happen. So you guys went the time, but
Yeah, that was an annoying pairing. I kind of wish I didn't get paired against him, but at the same time, I'm okay with it because again, I knew I had the
right
upper hand.
now, like you
So
guys ended up in time in game three, right?
right, which worked out for me because even if he would have won that, still got him by a game. So I took it
Right,
no matter what, and I ended up we played it out anyway, and I would have won
right,
anyway.
right.
So that
Yeah,
worked out. Shout out to Aiden though, real cool dude from Canada, man, very
yeah.
cool. We talked about lifting weights and stuff
Yeah,
after.
I
He's very
talked to him a
cool.
lot. His friend is a patron of ours, and I talked to him all weekend also. So
Okay.
it was a good, like they're good guys. They drove 10 hours. Like shout out.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
what
yeah.
I'm gonna. The wrap up is gonna be a lot. Like I'm gonna probably miss something, but like seriously, shout out to the guys that traveled. I had great conversations with a lot of different people that like really traveled for this event. So, um, you know.
Yeah.
So for me, since apparently I was uninformed, I did not know about the best of five going in, and for what it's worth, I was actually very very worried about the top eight. Um,
Mm.
I had a feeling I could win game one. William was playing four wide Nemesis with the Sky Patrol crew in Tailwind.
Now, by the way, when you get done, somewhere in there, explain to me how his deck works and what, because I decided in the Springer and some stuff or
Yes.
something.
Well,
So
that's
fill
what
me in when you
that's
get
what I
done.
was worried about. So
Okay. Yeah.
once they went and said it's a best of five, I'm like, oh, that's really good for me. I was like, I think I'm gonna start 2-0. I don't think his deck can deal enough damage to me. Like if I draw, like just okay, like as long as I don't draw poorly,
Right.
then
Right.
his deck is just it doesn't like even when his Nemesis would get to, his 10 attack, but like he didn't have Energon axes, like he didn't have. Like he had
Right.
Scoundrels Blasters, but like other than that, he didn't have like a way to like power a guy up. Like he had laser cutlasses and backup beams, but like none of those things mattered on Nemesis because like Nemesis would just get to 10 attack, and then that would be it. So like he would swing for 12 at maximum. If he hit one of the three wedge formations he had in the deck, then it's like, all right, so he hit for like 13, and I'm like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
defend 8, like I like whatever. So I knew
Right.
his deck was not going to be favorable in the first two games once they announced that it was best of five. Um,
Yeah.
but this is where I'm going to get the first shout out. Serious shout out to William. It gave me flashbacks of Origins. His sideboard was like awesome. Like he was able to board into a transformative board, which I'd like to think that like you and I like showed off to everybody at Origins when we transformatively sideboarded for the first time into the two tall prime stuff. And it
Right.
had flashbacks of that to me because like he transformed his entire deck into an overwhelming advantage deck out of his board.
Wow.
And
Wow.
it was fascinating because it did it with an Autobot character, and he was just setting up one of his like he would set up Tailwind. So since Tailwind has stealth and you can't get to Tailwind, he can take 3 turns and set him up. But really, he doesn't even need 3 turns. He only needs 1 turn. So if he goes
Mm.
1 turn, play anything. Just play what was the cards in his deck here? He had personal targeting drones, right? So he could just be like personal targeting drone on Tailwind, that next turn, if he got to 7 cards in hand, he could just flip the
Mm-hmm.
bot mode, play 2 upgrades, and play overwhelming advantage, and then just 15
Yeah.
you. Like that's literally, for me, that was very scary because of how fast he could do it and how efficient he would be at doing it. Now I knew that that he needed a couple things to go right. He needed conversion engine. I think very much. I think conversion engine would have changed
Mm-hmm.
the whole outcome of game three. He didn't get
Oh, okay.
one. But he was still able to kind of get set up, in a slower fashion without the conversion engine. Because I know he couldn't flip on turn one. I don't think he had an upgrade in his hand in turn one, so he just flipped like one of the Sky Patrol guys. He didn't flip Springer. So like I was
Mm-hmm.
already ahead right there because he had missed an opportunity to draw 2 cards. So from that moment on, I was like, okay, well that means he's short on upgrades right now. Like he's got to find upgrades to make this work.
Right.
And so he gets to a point in the game where he gets 2 upgrades on Tailwind, and I was like, disarm. All right, great. The
Nice.
next turn, he has 7 cards in his hand, so he does it again. He puts 2 upgrades on his guy, and I'm like, disarm.
Oh, that's
So
sick.
I spent 2 turns, like 2 exact turns in a row doing it, and then that third turn, I'm like, all right, um, I don't have another disarm, but I have a sabotage armaments. So like I'm gonna set my sabotage armaments, and like that way if he goes for it, I got him. Like it's great. Like it's gonna work.
Right.
He played it safe. He played an enforcement baton. He just removed the nobles blasters or whatever, and I got out of the turn again. However, what ends up happening?
Oh, so he read the sabotage.
What?
You read
Yeah,
the
he read the
sabotage set.
sabotage. Yeah.
Got
But
it.
I will say this much: for what it's worth, I think he at this point he was very, very, very behind, and
Mm-hmm.
like for me in that moment, I think he had to actually go for it. To be completely honest with
Mm-hmm.
you, because he had 2 of them in his hand, so he didn't need to fire both of them off. To be honest, he could have just fired one
Right.
of them off and lost his upgrade. And I think it would have been okay. I think he would have been better off if he had took that shot. Because if he takes the shot, and I don't have sabotage armaments, and I have like hidden fortification, and he just wins. Like the game is
Right.
over. He just wins. And for what it's
Yeah.
worth, like I said, he was really really far behind on damage. So he actually like really needed that moment to take it. He didn't take it. He played it safe, and that was it was a good call in the moment, I guess. But what ends up happening is that I actually draw the third disarm now. But what I end up doing, he has like 10 cards in his hand. I flip Optimus Prime back, and here we go. What card? What card's on top, Stefan? Security
Security
checkpoint.
checkpoint. That's dope.
I took 6 cards
That's
out of his hand, and I'm
get
like,
wrecked.
well, that's the game. Like the game's over. So I was like, all right, I'll disarm you
Yeah.
now. Like you're just so far behind. Like and I knew
Right.
it. Like I was like, well, all right, well that was it. Like and it's one of those moments. He has no idea that I'm gonna do any of these things and stuff like that. But if he takes the shot and I don't have the sabotage armaments, he actually kills my Optimus Prime because it already
Right.
had 6 damage on it, and I didn't have an energy pack. So if he just gets it, he just like the game's over. I lose basically. So it's like I think if you're in that position, I would have just took the shot. So
Okay. We gotta. I want to
yeah,
backtrack once again here. I like to backtrack, but something I thought that was funny. Me and Bixler had a moment. Bixler, if you're listening to this funny guy. He was so tight about security checkpoint because, of course, you said you did it to him, and I did it to him as well. I got him twice with it as well.
sorry.
So he was like, "I'm so sick of that card. I hope it gets banned." And I'm like, "Bixler, you have bashing shield. Stop." And I was like, "Yeah, my security checkpoint, of course, like counters that in the sense if I have it, the security checkpoint." But he's just funny. I'm like, bashing shield shouldn't have had the green. He was like, "Yeah, but security checkpoints are so annoying, this and that." I'm like, "But bashing shield, like you orange decks, you got that
And
card,
for
so
what it's worth, he had 3 of them.
it's just yeah. Oh my god, and it's so broken in there because it's just all triple
Right.
oranges, like so
Right.
good. Yep, that's just funny.
So I finished the round before you. You were still playing, which once again I knew that was going to happen. Um,
Yeah.
and the rest of the top 8 was playing out. What ends up happening? Jimmy Gian, he beat Adam Bixler with bugs.
How many games did that
It
go to?
went
How did that go? I remember him saying that the bugs are still just too big and kind of just demolish each of
it
them in
went
one
four
attack, pretty much.
games. Jimmy won 3-1. Um,
Okay.
I think I think Scott on commentary he said it right. Like this deck, this Insecticons build was built kind of in the middle, where he had
Mm,
like certain things for like certain matchups, and then he had a sideboard to like reinforce those things. So
right.
it's definitely a different like take on the Insecticons.
I love wedge formation in there. How I can heal off
Right.
scrapnel.
Well, it can heal off any character.
Pretty
In
cool.
fairness, they're all melee characters. I think in one mode
At
or the
one
other.
point, that's
So,
true.
um,
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, it's better on scrapnel because the his
right.
protection thingy.
So this deck like played better in probably like the mirror matches and the other four wide matches than like most versions would. Um,
Yeah, he has sturdy javelin
right,
too, which is
right.
nice.
But what ends up happening when he made that decision is that he actually made his matchup worse against control because like he only has two reckless
Mhm.
charges. He only like he only has
Ooh.
six like just like six real weapons. Like he has like the one power punch and then the two javelins, which are
So he's worse
right. So
versus
his
blue
deck was definitely worse versus blue, in for what I believe a meta that favored blue a little bit.
to start out.
So
Yeah.
what this is the same thing again. Like I had heard about the list and I had because Bixler he came over and told me certain things that I needed to know and stuff like that. Um, and he he it was once again I was like well I feel favored here because um I get two games before he can assess the board and add another reckless charge and add another power add another weapon and stuff like that. So
Right.
it felt good like to like all right I get that favor again. And then this is also what I forgot to talk about earlier was the positioning. For us on the day we got to choose like if as the lower seed you were able to
Oh
choose. So
yes.
I ended up being the 3 seed and in the first round in the first round of the top eight, the 1 and 2 seed were both knocked out. So I ended up being able to choose the rest of the tournament, whether I wanted to go first
Nice.
or second. And like, I didn't think about it, on Saturday, like if that would matter, but it did. It definitely mattered
Yeah,
having
it
the
did.
decision to play or like to go first or second. And these games were I know the first game. I think it was I think the first game was not very close. The second game was much closer, and then in the third game, because I'm just trying to speed up the process because I know we're going kind of long here. The third game is I I I don't know. I just made a misplay, and it was like a bad one, and it was probably the first
Hmm.
one of like the day where I was like, man, I kind of can't believe I made that play. And he got me. Like he
Right.
got me a game. I'm like, all right, well, okay. Like there it is. And then we went to game four, and he played well, but his deck was very action heavy, and I think he
Mm.
just got
Okay.
glutted. Like he just there was like there was turns where he had like 4 or 5 cards in his hand, and he didn't have anything to play. Like he just didn't play a card. And like bugs are like they're good characters, but like you need to have a weapon. You need to have the bashing shield. And I had a couple like really good turns where like I was like sparring gear security checkpoint type stuff. So like I took away. I think in game three I played sparring gear and then played checkpoint, and I took both bashing shields away and like a grenade launcher or something
Damn.
like that. So it was like a really really good turn for me.
Yeah, that's
Um,
pretty strong.
but the deck I think in the end like it's the best of five just didn't favor it at all in the matchup because he just had his deck was just too in the middle. Um, so
I understand.
but what I went to say first was I remember after you finished your round, Matt Smith came over to me. He goes, "Hey, you're gonna have choice. Do you want to play first in top four or second in top four?" And I looked at Matt. And I'm like, does it matter? I was like, you just give Steffon a break. Like one of those. Like I was just like, I like dude, like he just played 75 minutes. I've been already had 20. Like it's fine. So it was just funny because
Mm.
I don't think it matters, right? Like what's the difference? I go home earlier, Like I was just like making jokes. I'm like, yeah, I'll
Right.
play first. Um, so
Cool.
for what it's worth,
Well,
I gave
thanks.
you a nice hour break. But for
Appreciate
me
it.
now, this is the worst part, right? Because this is the longest part of the day for me. Because like I had won the game, but now I had to sit and wait for the finals, right? So I was like,
Right.
oh, like here we go, here's this game, like so like it was nice to get it. And I'm like, oh, I'm in the finals again. Like here we go, this is great. And like I was joking almost the whole round. Like man, like I hope Steffon wins this. Like I think it'll be really really cool if Steffon wins this. You know. So back to you,
Well,
buddy.
oh, I was gonna say 20. That's all
Yeah,
I'm gonna say.
man.
20.
Yeah.
20 or something like that. I knew prior to the match who somebody gave me the 411 on his deck. It wasn't really only thing I just needed to know was his side deck character. And as soon as I heard Battlefield Legend, I just shook my head. I was not confident at all going into the match. Even after I won game one, I wasn't confident. That's
Uh
how
huh.
bad it was because it was a thing like I really needed to go 2-0 into that to even be okay with how things are going to go and probably still get 3-0 any. Oh, the guy, yeah. So Richard, the guy that played the aimless Jetfire deck is kind of like Metroplex. And from back in the day, Double Prime destroys
Yep.
Metroplex. And that's pretty much what ended up happening. He took both games away from Ian, and Ian reverse swept him
Yep.
when he went to
Yep.
Double Prime. Like Jetfire just doesn't get enough time to breathe. Battlefield Legend hits too hard, and it's just not. It's no contest. So when I heard that, I was like, that's probably what's going to happen to me. Simple as that. I kind of already knew I was out in top four before I started. So because my deck was more finesse, I didn't, and this is where Leap in the Battle, what we talked about maybe
Yep.
30 minutes ago,
Yep.
comes back into play. How I said I miss it because side note, best believe it's going back in. Um, yeah, that not having that, I had the marksmanships and stuff. It just wasn't fast enough. Like I needed to be able to that extra point of damage from the leap versus the 2 from marksmanship, and plus some turns marksmanship
Yep.
could miss. The fact that because he'd flip his Optimus back and get
Yep.
back in action. Both of those trucks have 3 defense. And guess what? Sights and Tailwind both have 3 attack. So even if I got to 4 attack with the armed hovercraft, he just always flipped the blue on defense. And it's like, so now I don't even get in for that point of damage, which probably didn't matter anyway, but it just added insult to injury for my
Right.
situation. And yeah, like I said, I took game 1 and game 2 he took going first. I had a choice to be able to go first or not, so I went first game 1 and sent sights in. And then, yeah, like I said, he won game 2, and then I ended up winning game 3. He stayed the 3-wide deck, actually, which I was surprised about. So that's the only reason why it only went to 5 games. It should have only went to 4 because he should have went double prime in game 3, but he
Wait. So
didn't.
did it start
And so
1-1 or was it 2-OU?
yeah, it started 1-1, and then game 3, where you're able to side deck a character or
He
side deck at
won.
all,
So he
he
won
stayed
game 2 though, right? And now,
correct.
what did
And
you
then game,
choose?
oh,
What
go
did
ahead.
you choose to do? Like, did you choose to go first or second in game 3?
Oh, I went first
Right.
again. I went first again. I had to hide my shockwave.
I think
I couldn't
that's
let him,
why he
like you
stayed
mentioned.
3 tall then, because he did it in game 4, right?
No, game 4 and 5, he
Right.
went
That's what I'm
double prime.
saying. So like the game that you decide to hide him is why I don't think he boarded into Battlefield Legend yet.
But I think he should have. But game 5, it was the same thing. I went first when he was too tall and still
Fair.
lost. I think he should have just stayed too tall
Fair.
the
Fair.
entire time. I don't get enough time to set up and breathe and get shockwave to do anything. And when he's just really hitting me every turn, and it takes him less turns to really knock my
Fair.
guys out. So, and that's just my thought process. So I'm glad that he didn't do that. I was hoping he would stay 3-1 the entire time, to be
Right.
honest with you, because that was going to be my only shot. Like I said from the beginning, as soon as I knew he was going to go 2-wide, I knew I wasn't going to win because I needed like things like leap. My deck was better against wider decks with the burn and things like that. And my side deck especially was shooting myself for my side deck because it did have 2 W5 Job Blaster. I did have 3 hidden fortification between the main and side. 3 hidden fortification. I think I know you played 2, but Shockwave, of course, really should play 3 because he can play them off
Right.
the top. Little things like that. So but I ended up only playing 1 in the main, 1 on the side of hidden fortification. So my deck catered to more blue matchups and Pierce. And that's exactly my meta call was correct all the way up to the unfortunate pairing in
Yeah.
top 4 of the Energon Invitation.
Yeah. I.
So, like I said, I knew I wasn't gonna make it, and I thought to myself too, I didn't even text my girlfriend yet because she already knew I was in top 8, but I was like, I'm not even gonna message her. I just want to message her, and tell her I won, or I was like, Dan got his revenge. One of the two. And but yeah, so like I said, I knew I was gonna lose, but it's all good.
Yeah.
And those 220 hits were just I wasn't even
I.
surprised. I'm just sitting here like my side deck. I was just killing myself for not keeping my side to still remember that orange is a thing, but I just dismissed it. And like I said, I was correct just about the entire time, all the way up till top 4.
Yeah.
So
Well, I.
yeah,
I just remember sitting there and watching Game 5, and like he just attacks with that Optimus Prime,
I got murdered. I
dude.
got my ass
I was
whooped.
just
I will
like,
say it.
wow, that was a lot.
Optimus, I just felt like it was a movie scene, and Optimus just went ham on Shockwave and just killed him as
I
Autobot should.
literally,
The
I literally
Decepticons.
just remember going,
Like,
wow, like that was
yeah,
a hell of a hit right there.
I needed an armor sooner than later, and I needed a sabotage armaments for those turns where Optimus. I think I don't remember what no, I don't even think I had that. Yeah, it was just too slow. Like I said, it took me too long to want to set up. Arm hovercrafts aren't that good,
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
So shout out to Ian. No, I ain't even mad. Like I said, I'm happy Seal got me to where I was that misplay from the Lord Megatron guy to be where I was at to make my goal. I had a great first
yeah,
year, so
I mean
it's all good.
definitely.
And then if I didn't win, how many times did I tell? What did I say? First and last. I get the first one. I'm gonna you get the last one. You
Well,
got it. So if it wasn't me, I'm glad it was you.
yes, yeah. Thank you. Congratulations to you, man. You had a phenomenal card year.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
I can't, you played great all year, and you just kept earning it. You got all your top eights, got your wins.
Yeah.
There's not much you could have done better. So
Yeah, that's pretty good. 2 first places, a top 8 and a top 4. I'd say,
yeah,
I'll take
yeah.
that. Yes, sir.
Well, then we had the finals, and
Yep.
yeah, I had waited. You guys played for like an hour and a half. A little like it was about an hour and a
Yeah.
half that you guys played, and then they wanted to give Ian like a 25-minute break, and I was like, yeah, of course, that's fine. Um, so we didn't start playing the finals until about 3 o'clock,
Right.
maybe a little bit after, whichever it was. And I beat Ian going in, in the cut. So like I knew that like my deck was capable of beating his. So like
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't like confident, like overconfident or anything like that. Like I knew there was things that he could change about the match that he could capitalize on. Um,
Yeah.
and this is
39 health is pretty sick. I gotta say, we haven't. I know you'll talk about it when you do your deck pro, whatever, coming up
yeah,
soon. But that was one of the builds I put together too. But then I love the range. Like I said, I think I love the range package more than Scott because my build, like I did the deck profile for, play Fireflight, just so I can play all these range cards
right.
and stuff. But I do love that version that you have too because, like I said, 39 health. And then potential not just 39 but 43 health because just finding one
Yep.
energy pack puts you in the
Yeah,
40s now.
it happened a
Like,
couple times throughout the day
geez.
where General Galaxy Prime had 2 energy pieces. I only did the trifecta once, all event,
Okay.
and that was more.
And it's not necessary,
It was
but it's
more for the
nice though.
memes, but
Yeah, yeah.
that's just like the double secret action play I had in top 4. I had
That was sick.
that was
That
for
was
the
I saw
memes
that.
also, but
Oh
um,
shoot.
but the the deck the deck for me presented points in games where you had to check your opponent.
hmm
And my first check was letting him go first.
Okay.
And that was going to dictate the entire match. Because for me,
Okay.
if he were to attack General Optimus, I would have never let him go first ever again. But he
Yep.
didn't. He attacked Flame War. And that was honestly to me, we don't even need to get into all the ins and outs of the rest of the games. That was the only mistake that he made in every game that probably cost him the match.
Yep. Well, I will say I have to mention the one that I saw, and it killed me when he didn't do the
The
math because
zap,
it's like,
right?
man,
Right.
it killed me with that. He flipped reckless charge, piece through
Right.
tyranny, zap into
Right.
flame war, and I'm like, oh shit,
Right.
okay, zap. No, he goes reckless, and I'm like, bro, you had the so you probably
Worst outcome. He does 8 and zaps me to 9, and then the next turn he flips
right.
Optimus, gets back to zap, and finishes Flame War. Right? That's the worst outcome.
Well, no. He's at 12 already.
Right, but I'm
Remember,
still gonna
because
flip
the
cards. Like I could have flipped a double blue.
well,
Right. So like,
right. But I mean, the
no,
way I
I
think
know,
about it,
I
it may
know.
be incorrect, but at bare minimum, I'm gonna assume you're gonna have 3 defense.
Right.
So 9 after I zap you plus your 3, you're at
Right.
12. I
Right.
have 12.
Right.
You're KO'd. But he used the reckless charge and went
Right,
to
and
16, and I'm like,
he just lightning bolted himself.
yeah. That's
and that was
yep.
in, I think that was in yeah, that was in game three when he did that, and he
Yeah.
ended up doing that both games. He didn't have the zap in game four, but
Hmm.
game three was, it was just like that. Like he goes, he one shots the flame war, and then once again, I'm just gonna go back to it. Every game that he was, no, oh no, he actually won. That might have been game four that he missed the zap. I think that's what it was, because I
One of
know
those. I don't know. Yeah.
in the other game he attacked skydive because I knew that he was gonna go to too tall. So after I lost game two, I said I would play first, which was the
Hmm.
best call for me, and he did go to too tall like I thought he would, and that way he had to waste an attack on the skydive so I could
Skydive.
get an extra tough out of my general optimist type thing. Um, and
Right.
then once again in round four it happened again. I'm sorry, in game four it happened again. Like he went first and he attacked the flame war, and this was the whole situation of the zap and everything like that. And in the moment I was like, all right, yeah, that was good. But like what I didn't know at the time was like once I opened my hand, once I looked at my hand, I had known that Optimus Prime wasn't going to untap. So I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, like so this was the moment that I had realized that I had won, right? Because it was like,
Nice.
I'm gonna kill this battlefield legend. He's not gonna untap, and there's no way this General Prime's gonna get me.
Hmm.
So this is
Right.
like this is where you start to like kind of mess up, right? Like this is like that moment like where you were talking about like you were so shocked that your opponent had messed up that you were like, oh my god, what am I gonna
Right.
do? And like so I actually like kind of got overzealous, and they kind of made fun of me on chat because they had on commentary because they had realized it because I watched the commentary back today, and
Hmm.
it was just like a surreal moment in my mind where I'm like, wow, like I'm gonna kill this Optimus Prime, and then he's gonna get like three attacks with his general, and I'm gonna have a like I just knew that I was gonna win right there, and it was like a surreal
Right.
moment. Like it was like I can't believe we played all year and like this is actually happening, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Definitely.
I just wanted to just give Ian a shout out to him. I ended up like I watched the whole stream and I heard his after interview and I didn't know any of the things at the time. Like apparently he had just recently started playing the game, and
Okay.
the mistakes he made, for what it's worth, I do think that they are next level thinking mistakes. So a new
Yes.
player wouldn't have adapted and seen them in the moment. Like
Right.
this goes back to the Adam Bixler conversation where like Bixler had 10 minutes to think about what he wanted to do. Like
Hmm.
if this guy had 10 minutes to think about what he wanted to do, he may have made a different decision.
Or one of his friends would have been like, "Hey, you need to do
Right,
this." Somebody
right,
else
right.
with
I
the
mean, you
knowledge.
can't do that, right? That's outside information. So, but
Well, so wait, when he had the 25 minutes for a break, he
no, he
couldn't
could
talk to
have. Yeah,
anybody.
sure. During that time, like they could have, he could have went with his team
Yeah.
and worked it out and like and did stuff like that. Of course.
That's what
But
I'm
I'm
thinking
saying
about. But
like if
yeah.
there was
Okay.
a random debt check in the middle, like he would have had to figure it out on his own. But
Oh
it
yeah.
was
Yeah.
one of
Yeah.
those
Gotcha.
that in his interview he said he valued the little guys more in this matchup, but they're only as good for as long as Optimus Prime can shield them. Like the moment
Right.
that Optimus Prime is dead, that's I'm not gonna kill Battlefield Legend and General Optimus with Flame War Scott. Like that's not gonna happen. Like there's no way
Right.
that happens. So if he had just went both of those games just flat straight into my dude, that's it. He
Hmm.
probably win. It's hard to say he wins the event because I still might kill him before he untaps type stuff, but it's definitely a lot harder for me to win those games if he just runs into Optimus Prime. So
Right.
that's kind of what we said earlier. It's like we take those, right? Like like
Yes,
we
sir.
take those,
Yes,
like
sir. That's the motto.
and
We take those.
I just want to congratulate everybody once again in that top eight. Like I think everyone, we said it during our Dallas finals conversation that it was going to take skill and luck to get into that top eight. You're going to have to get
Right.
lucky, and everyone in that top eight got a little lucky to get there, and I know for sure that I got a little lucky to win that. You don't win a 160 player event without getting a little lucky, right?
It's
Yeah.
part of it. Absolutely.
So, is there
That's why I'm very humble about the pulls and stuff, but then like it's like, I mean, hey, I was just like, again,
Right.
lucky
I mean,
enough to be able to
like
pull that in that
you
sense.
put the time in, you put the work in, and you know that you're ready. But
Right.
once again, a 160 person event, you still got to get a little lucky. Like it's not.
Yeah.
I'm humbled to have the fortune that I did on that weekend. You know, like, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it's one of those things that you really have to take into consideration. Like, man, like my opponent made that misplay, or man, I hit that extra double blue on that flip. Like just the little things. Like every time I flipped Optimus Prime and I hit an action, like the security checkpoints of the world, like it's like all of those things lead up to, yeah, I made the play in hopes of what would happen, but like I didn't control all of those things. Like they all had to flow that way to get me to where I was, you know.
Exactly.
So I'm
Exactly.
gonna push it back to you, and give you a chance to just like talk about how you felt at the end of it, and just give you like your shout outs or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I will say, again, this is all like, two things. The spheres, the spheres.
Article.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that whole thing is definitely very insightful, and it was correct. But in terms of, okay, how do I want to say this? Like I said, I prepared my side deck for all
Right.
blue, and then I pretty much, I guess, a sphere that I wasn't aware that I was weak against. I was aware when it happened. Two tall aggressive decks, I'm very,
Right.
weak against. And so that was very correct in that sense. So that was unfortunate like that, but I'm saying that to say I wish the brackets were like Origins, because I was crossing my fingers that I didn't have to play Hot Wheels in top four. I was like, let Dan deal with that. I don't want to deal with that. I'd rather have bugs. This time, it's a superstition thing. I'm like, I didn't realize that the bug guy made it past Bixler. I kind of thought Bixler won,
Right.
first of all. And I was just hoping that I got paired up against Bixler again or the
Right.
bug guy. Because I was like, I think Dan's deck can take the prime deck. I don't want to face that prime deck. I don't want to face also the guy that you played in top 8. Those are two decks I did not
Right.
want to play against. And I ended up running into the wrong one. So all about those matchups. And yeah, so it is what it is. But no, overall, like I made a Facebook post earlier today. Well, actually like 4 a.m. this morning. This year was great,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll be back for 2020. I'm very honored to be the game's first champion, and I'm honored to that you are the game's last champion for the year. And everything went how it should have, and I would not change it. I'm happy for everybody. I'm glad I've met everybody that I met, and it's
Yeah.
all good.
Yeah.
More to come. Shout out to everybody. There's no like specific shout out.
Yeah.
Shout out to everybody. I guess I immediately like I'm gonna do this on my video again. Credit where credit's due. My boy Maurice, he's the reason why I'm here
Right.
talking to you today. If he would have never showed me this game, I would have noticed a couple of months later, like, oh snap, Transformers has a TCG. That's pretty cool. But I never would have went to go try to pick it up. But the fact that he invited me to come try it and sit down and try it is all how it
Right.
started. So if it weren't for him, I wouldn't even be here talking, because I miss playing card games, but I wasn't gonna take it upon myself to try it myself. So shout out to him, and shout out to VectorSigma, because like I said, meeting Mark at my card store, the Adventures Guild, my current local in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, seeing him there. I didn't even know who he was at the point, and then like towards the I guess middle or end of him being there, he says his name, and then because I was already listening to the VectorSigma podcast before I met Mark, and soaking up all the knowledge while I was at work. So it's nice to burn, have my days go by faster listening to Scott, listening to Vin, listening to Mark or whatever. Then I find out who he is, and I'm like, okay, well, VectorSigma, and I'm like, oh snap, aren't you guys that team, blah, blah, blah. And me knowing I wanted to be very competitive coming into this, I knew that's who I needed to get with to get the knowledge and go from there. So, and then, like I said, again, shout out to everybody else that I've met.
Yeah.
Everybody's
Yeah.
cool. It's all
Okay.
good.
I'm gonna steal
That's
the
it.
spotlight here now.
Oh, do your thing, man.
I wrote in my post that like there was too many thanks to be given for a post. Like it really was. Like the year itself was phenomenal. For me, I had learned how to play the game in PAX Unplugged. Like a year before.
Okay.
So like to come full
Right.
circle from like literally learning how to play the game to winning the first Energon Invitational, it was just in the moment, like literally I did an interview like like 20 minutes after I won, and like the guy, I just like I don't even know how I'm supposed to feel. Like I don't even know. Like
Yeah.
shout out to Tim Teo and Team PSD. Look out for that video
Yes.
because I'm sure I look like a retard. Like because I like literally I was just
Oh,
like I just didn't know how to feel. Like it was
yeah.
so surreal. You know?
Well, I will tell you, I cried.
Yeah,
Only John Shork knows that I
yeah.
cried, and now everybody else knows
Nah,
at this point. And I'm not ashamed. I was never ashamed to say it, but it was uncontrollable. I've cried 2 times in my life that were very
oh well.
uncontrollable. When my son was born, and when I won Origins. And I looked at you and I thought you were gonna cry, and I was like, I wouldn't feel. I was like, I hope he cries, so I won't be the only one that cried. Tears of joy,
I'm
of course, but it was so uncontrollable. It's
I'm
kind of
like
crazy.
situationally emotional.
Gotcha.
So I think I'm a crier, so like it's not like I cry at movies all the time. Like I went and seen Frozen 2 with my daughter. It was the first movie she had gone to movie theaters for.
Which movie you broke up?
Frozen 2. Right? That was her first
Okay,
movie. We went
okay,
a couple weekends ago. I cried
yeah,
three
yeah.
times during that movie, and I don't care. Like, hey, I love Disney
Really?
movies, bro. Frozen. It was a great
Okay,
movie.
hey,
It was a,
no
hey,
judgment here.
so, but for me, like it was almost like a numbing feeling, like of a, like I said, it was just a sense of accomplishment. Like
Right.
I, and I said this, in June when you beat me, like, it was a surreal moment to get to the finals. It was a surreal moment to prove, that like I was good at this game, but like to do it again, to get back there again on a bigger stage with 160 players and this crazy long event and to finally get the win, like to know what that meant it to this moment it still hasn't fully hit me,
Right.
and I gave him a shout out in my interview with Matt Smith afterwards, but Andrew, yeah, Andrew Dahl, he came to us on Friday. He was testing, him and Machado were testing with Gabe, down in Florida. That was like Gabe's testing crew down in Florida, and they were testing that deck for
Hmm.
weeks. And Gabe would tell us like, hey, this deck's really, it's performing really well, and like, hey, like it's doing this, and hey, it's giving me problems with Jetfire and this and that, and like we didn't discredit it, but we just didn't like, we knew the Jetfire deck that we had was good, and we were really we were on Jetfire most. It was like a 90% chance that we were going to play Jetfire. It was between
Hmm.
Jetfire, and in the last couple of days we had retooled Octone to what I felt was very competitive, and I felt that it was good enough that I had personally given it to a couple patrons and said, hey, listen, like this deck is really good, and like we were on the verge of playing it. Like that's how good I think this deck is. So
Nice.
like we had given it to like a couple guys, and for what it's worth, I think one of them was your buddy Will. And I think he did fairly well with it. From what I remember, I think he had a little bit of trouble in sealed, but he did tell
Very
me the
nice.
deck performed well. And it was literally, like I said, we went to dinner early on Friday, right? We went there at 5. We got back to the hall
Right.
at 6. From 6 to 9:30, I watched Andrew play this deck against Scott and just beat everything he put in front of him. Like he beat up on Jetfire, and Scott's like, all right, like this is where the spheres conversation happens, right? Like for us, if we're gonna play a deck, it needs to be the best deck in the sphere, right? Like all right,
So I gotta ask because I'm so curious about that. I thought Jetfire was just as good as Optimus. Yeah, he doesn't have the 2 attack, but he can easily find a weapon like Energon Axe or Noble's Blaster that puts him
right.
on par. And so how does that work out
So
that Optimus beat
here's
Jetfire?
here's kind of what the difference was, because of Skydive's tough, and because of
Right.
Flame War's tough. Your extra guys live longer, right? Because like they have all that
Yep.
extra beefiness. So if you're getting
Mhm.
matrices on your Galaxy Optimus, like those guys are always going to do damage. So like the general
Right.
the Galaxy Prime was able to one shot Nightwing. It was able to one shot Talwyn. Like so like as soon as those guys were vulnerable, all of a sudden like before you knew it, it was a 3-on-1 on Optimus. So like, or it was a 3-on-1 on
Right.
Jetfire, and it's like, yeah, that's all great and dandy. You're
Right.
drawing 3 cards, but you're also like taking Pierce 3, Pierce 5 from like the little dude. So out of nowhere, you're just like, wow, like I have like 12 damage on me, and then like all of a sudden, this General Optimus is like, yeah, I have 2 Matrixes, an Ion Blaster, and here's a leap into battle. Oh, for what it's worth, here's a bigger they are with my Energon X. So that's guaranteed Pier 6, right? Because I'm lower than you.
Damn.
So like I'm just watching these
Damn,
I'm
that is so
watching these
true.
games unfold and I'm just like, this is bad. Like this is bad. I was like, and Scott, like he was like, all right, like, well, how's it do against Blaster? So he's like, Vince, hand me Blaster, and Vince starts playing, or Scott starts playing Blaster against it. General Optimus rolls it. He's like, all right, what about Shockwave? And I'm like, I handed him our Shockwave list. It was a little bit different than everyone else's, but it'll be out. People will see
Yeah.
it. And Scott took the General Optimus deck, and he took the Galaxy Prime deck, and Andrew played the Shockwave deck, and Scott rolled him. Like, it just wasn't close. And I'm just like, so me and Scott look at each other and we're like, listen, we're not egotistical guys here at the end of the day. Like, we know when something is in front of us and we're supposed to act on it. And that's what we did. And it was a huge sign of respect to Andrew.
You got to think though, Andrew would have been the only one on that list, though. You think?
What? No, it would have been
If you
him
would've
and
Jetfire?
Machado. Him and Machado both would
Okay.
have played it
Okay.
for sure. And
Gotcha.
for what it's worth, I think Gabe would have played it also.
Okay, so for you guys to potentially run into them playing that, you didn't
No,
want to.
it was never about that. I mean, we
Well, because you beat
right,
everything
yeah.
else,
I mean,
right?
like,
With the Jetfire decks, you only
we
got to
felt
worry
that we
about him.
beat everything else, so it was one of those. But it was just one
Right.
of those, like, when your team comes up with this, you have to respect it. Like, it's like you guys worked on this all month down in Florida, and we didn't get all of the details like here and there, but it's like it's here, you're presenting it, and it's like, I felt that it wasn't as big of a change off of the Jetfire list. Like it still was kind of the same concept of build up the big guy and just get value throughout the game.
Right.
And it was just one of those, like literally, me and Scott just looked at each other and we are just like, yeah, like we got to do this. Like we got to call an audible on like in the final hour of the night. So it's like going into that event at 9:30 at night. We're like, yeah, like we're gonna play this deck that we have no reps with, but like it's
But
it's
it's
the right
Optimus,
thing
so
to do.
you
So
got
like
to-
for what it's worth, and I know Scott's gonna talk about it on Tech Talk, but me, Scott, and Vin all audible to it. We had never played a single game with it, and all three of us went 5-1 with it. So like
Nice.
that deck on the day, I believe we all went 5-1 with it. Machado, I think, also went 5-1 with it, and I think Andrew went 4-2, which I think is the funny part because it was his deck, but still,
His deck.
it was just the deck was very good. It was very solid. Like I can't again, huge shout out to Andrew for building it and basically just gifting it. I said it, I tweeted it out. Like it was a privilege to have, like, my name was on the deck list, but it wasn't my deck. It was his deck, and it was just a privilege for me to pilot it and give it its rightful, time in the shine. And then I want to say thank you. I'm gonna try and put this on camera. It's like being weird. No, it's not showing it. I was making. Oh, there it is. So yeah, you can kind of see it on camera now. My Galaxy Prime, I got it signed by Drew and by Matt. Drew wrote on there Energon Invitational MVP. That was really nice of him. It was just cool. Like I just realized that like you had said it before in our last one about the pictures, about the moments, and I realized in that moment that like I'm never gonna have an opportunity to probably do this again. Like it's just like you said at Origins. Like it was your day, right? Like this weekend was my weekend, so I don't know if I'm ever gonna have the opportunity to play in the finals again. I have no idea. I can't.
The biggest thing is with Seal throwing a wrench in it, and then the other thing, the matchup, depending on how you just run into your matchups, that's one of the biggest things. And Yu-Gi-Oh is a lot different. Coming from that game, we have multiple time champions that just like go around busting ass consistently. In this game, it's definitely a lot harder to do. Not that it's not possible; it's always possible, but for sure.
It's like one of those moments that I was like, I need to make sure I capture this moment. I need to make sure I have like this, like something just to always not that I like not I have the trophy, I get that, like, and I'm gonna have like the tag of a first champion and like all those things, like, but it's like I wanted to make sure I had this Optimus. Like this Optimus will forever be the Optimus that won the event, and now I have two of the designers on the game, you know, on it. So like whenever I play this guy
Absolutely.
ever again, like I'm gonna always be reminded of that. So I wanted to capture that moment. I wanted to take your advice on it. You know, like then you had said it, and I was like, you know what, he's right. Like, and I think all year long, like I have been like capturing them, but not in that way. You know, so
I understand.
um
I understand. Well, I tell you what, just like you talking about your option, never getting rid of my Battlefield Legend. He's sitting in my box, chilling,
yeah
sitting pretty.
yeah.
So, like I said, I do have a picture. Well, I won't spoil it. I'll just create it,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
which
yeah.
is
I'd
be
rather
cool.
you do that. It'll be more fun for us.
Yeah.
Um, and then I wanted to give a shout out to Frenchie.
Okay.
He took you. I made a little media thing. I have it on screen now. But Frenchie took some pictures throughout the weekend, and they were just awesome pictures. And he sent them to me, and he's gonna send me more, and I'll probably add them into another video later on. But I just wanted to throw him up there and give him a shout out. You know, he's very kind for taking pictures and sending them to me. Like I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just
Yep.
like you said, it's capturing the moments. You know, so it's like and like
Absolutely.
this hysterical photo of me and you flexing. It's just great. I love it. I love it. And
Love it. I gotta
Scott's a
say
little
it.
schoolgirl. He's like, let's take a selfie. I'm like, what's wrong with you? Like,
Well, actually, Scott did a flex too, but he did like a
no,
downwards flex with
I
his
didn't
knife,
get
like the
that one
Hulk
yet.
Hogan.
I
I need that
know I
picture. I was
didn't
gonna
get
say I'm
that
gonna have
one
to
yet.
hit
I
up.
wish I
Yep.
did. It would be on here.
Yeah,
Um, and then so yeah, like I just want to continue real quick. I want to wrap up. I know we've been doing this for a while, but I want to make sure I get everybody the team. You know,
Yes.
we ended up changing a deck on the last day, but it didn't mean that we weren't prepared for this event. It didn't mean that we didn't spend days upon days upon hours of theory crafting and testing and really going hard at this event. You know, um, I I don't want to say that like we took any event lightly because we didn't. You know, every event this year, like all the major events, not like the EIQs or whatever like that. You know, like we weren't always trying to win those events. We were trying to test out decks and stuff like that for patrons and stuff. But the the big events, we went into wanting to win them. And you know, at Origins, I came in second. I lost to you. At Gen Con, Scott finished top four, and he lost to William. And then like we didn't go to any of the PPTs, so like we couldn't even attempt to to win one of those. But to get this win for our team, it means a lot. Like I think it solidifies what we are attempting to represent in this game. So
Right.
it was a big win for all of us, and I
Yeah, the first and the last tournament made a lot of sense for you guys to want to walk home with it, and this one I think is just matches you guys perfectly. So
yeah,
definitely big
thank
up.
you. And I just
Yep.
I can't say it enough. It just the team, every one of them, every member of that team, even the patrons that helped, and that we helped and we supported, like all those guys, they all made a difference. Every single person that I talked
Right.
to in the last 2 weeks made a difference, and
Right.
it's just an incredible feeling for it all to pay off. And then lastly,
And the best part, it's not over yet. This is just the
right,
first
right. I
year.
mean, that's the crazy thing, right? Is that it's just here we are a year basically in the making, and I think Scott's gonna have a kind of a funny picture too, um, to talk about. But him and Palmer won the uncut sheets last year at PAX Unplugged. So like Vector
Oh, that's
Sigma
right. Yeah,
kind of won PAX Unplugged last year also. Winning two of the three sheets, and then
right.
Vector Sigma gets lucky again, and we win this year. So it's kind of like we've defended home turf really, really well. So,
Yeah, sure.
um, there's
Well, just like I gotta defend
dude,
Ohio because
you're the
Ohio's
king of Columbus. You are. You're the king of Columbus for sure. So, Origin's gonna be hell of a time again.
yeah,
But
can't wait.
and then my last thing, because I am a wrestling fan. All right, I am. I'm a wrestling fan, guys. All
Notice
right.
more.
Oh, where is it at? It's not working. Aw, I'm
Oh no.
upset. I don't know. I tried to get it to work, and now it's not here. I don't know why. Whatever. It's not working. I was gonna do my you guys, if I happen to just like get funny and just post the CM Punk gif on someone's, it's just me being fun. I'm a wrestling fan. CM Punk's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, and his thing has always been best in the
Yeah.
world. Uh, I was
Yeah,
I
I
was I
respect
was
it.
telling
So you got
Stefan
that for
before we
me. So
started, when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, my daughter, she was 3 years old. She will not remember this, right? Like she won't remember. Like, she was 3 years old. She's not gonna remember this
right.
moment. But I had recorded
Nope.
it on my phone. I had picked her up and I was like, Lily, best in the world, and she just screamed at the top of her lungs. She's like, best in the world. Like my 3 year old daughter celebrating the first Eagles Super Bowl, which like for me is not nearly as what it would mean if like the Flyers had won the Stanley Cup, but it's still
Yeah,
a
yeah,
surreal moment to celebrate with your kid, like, and especially that young.
yeah,
She's
yeah.
so innocent. Like I said, she won't remember it, but I will. So
Right.
when I finally got on the phone and called my wife to tell her I had won, because like
Mhm.
you, I hadn't, I when I go to these events, I'm very in the zone. So I don't really talk to anybody. Like, I don't go on social media really. I try not to. I know I do more now because like I'm part of the social media for the game, and I'll post the pictures like when I have the time, like I did at the end of top eight, like at the end of round eight and round nine and stuff like that. But like realistically, like I'm in the zone because like I need to be in the zone. I don't want to be taken out of like that thought process. So like I didn't really talk to my wife much all weekend. So when I finally did call her
Nice.
and I said to her, I'm like, I won, and she's like, get the out of here. Like she didn't believe it. Like it was one of those like it was like just like no way. And then she walked over and like she's the first thing she says to Lily, she goes, Lily, tell Daddy, best in the world, and she said it, and I was like, wow, like it's a
Yeah, that's
surreal
awesome.
moment. So,
That's awesome.
I wanted to thank you again for doing this podcast and sharing the year with me. Like we had some
Yeah,
memorable moments this year, and I
we've legit followed each other. We're like, just like, hey, you're in top.
yeah,
I'm in top.
yeah,
Up top.
like
Cool.
I
Cool.
didn't get the top 8 of Gen Con. I got top 16.
Well, yeah, but you were still
Right,
in top
right,
though. Like
right,
you made
right.
it. Like you were still like 32
So,
total.
I
Yeah.
got, for a second place at Columbus and top 16 Gen Con and winning the Energon Invitational. Like, I can't ask for a better year either. And I knew the same thing at Gen Con. I was very underprepared for Gen Con. I didn't have any time to test it all for Gen Con. So, but at the end of the day, it's surreal. Like
Right.
it's just I that's all I can say. I'm grateful. I'm incredibly, incredibly grateful for all of it. And like I wrote in that post too, like anybody, like I had so many messages just from people I didn't even know. Like it was crazy, like, and
Oh
I
yeah.
was I was
Yeah.
so
Same.
humbled. Like it was very, very humbling. And there was definitely a couple special ones that were like really touching, and it was really awesome. And anybody that was there all day, like rooting me on, was just it was great. It was really, really surreal and really, really just grateful. That's all I could say.
Proud of you, man.
Thank
Congratulations.
you. Congrats to you too. Congrats to everyone in the top 8.
Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah,
I said I was
definitely.
gonna do this too. The shout outs to the guys. Singapore. You guys from Team PSD came up from Singapore. Seriously, thank you. Like this game needs that. We need that to happen. We need for major events to be happen overseas that like us Americans will travel to. And I said
Right.
this like last year. Me and Scott almost went to the London event. We almost did. We were very close to going to the London event just to go. Um, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna happen this year. Like we're gonna go to one of those overseas events, if not
Nice.
multiples. Like for what it's worth. I sat against
Right.
the guy from Australia, in the building for registering our sealed pools, and he was telling me his story about him and his son coming to the game. It's awesome. Like I love it. I
Yeah.
sat with the guys that drove 10 hours from Canada. Like, you know, people
Mhm.
from San Francisco, people from everyone traveled to this event, and it was awesome that I didn't. We got way more players than I thought we would. I was putting it like 120. So like the fact that we got to
Okay.
160 players, that's awesome. That you can't ask for much more in the first year of the game. So
Right.
so
Exactly.
thank you. Definitely huge shout out to
Exactly.
Watsy once again. I shook Matt and Drew's hand and told them I hugged them and I said thank you for creating this game. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to play this game. Um, because it's a great game, and it really filled the void for me. Like when WoW TCG died, I lost the part of me. So it's like for this game to come back and come back this strong, it's heartwarming, you know.
Yeah,
All right, I'm gonna
definitely.
stop talking now. We've been talking for
Oh, you're
so
good,
long, and
man. It's all good.
I
Let
just
it out.
it's surreal. That's all I can say.
Yeah, we have to give the respect to this, though. I mean, it's the last, well, yeah, probably the last final conversation of the year, and rightfully so. This is
Well,
the way to
for
go.
what it's worth,
So,
there is Vegas next weekend. Um, so
yeah, looking forward to that.
so
I'm
we'll
loving
we'll
that. Yep.
we'll see if it's warranting. I talked to George all weekend. Obviously, he's now a member of the team, and I stayed with him in the room. Oh, sorry. And
Good.
I said, I was like, I don't know many players in Vegas, so like I hope your turnout's good. And I hope players get out to that. I think a couple guys from the Bay Area are gonna go. And I hope they do. I think
Well, Kevin Allen should be there because he's
he
somewhere around
he
there, if not
he.
there, or he's in
I
Cali,
don't
but
want to put him on
he
the
should be
spot. He
there.
wrote on the Bay Area uh, boards that he was gonna go to Vegas. So like, I hope he
Yeah,
does.
I
I
expected him
hope
to
he
go. Yeah,
goes.
definitely.
And I hope a bunch of players do. I hope he gets at least 20 guys for that event. You know, so let's
Yep.
if that event does fire and it does warrant a conversations, then we'll have one. Otherwise, for what it's worth, we have Orlando. So you know.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Thank you again for doing these. This was our longest one by far, but there was a lot to
Yeah,
talk about, I guess.
so worth it though.
Um,
Yes, sir.
and yeah, congratulations on your year again. I didn't want to put you on the spot
You
too
too, man.
much, but your post was inspirational. I have a friend just
Mm.
like you that put in that type of work to lose that type of weight and to change his life, and I watched him do it. So like I can imagine the things that you went through to make those changes, those life changes, and it's just it's incredible that people are able to do that. And I wanted to congratulate you for making those life changes and becoming the person you are now.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate that, man. A lot
Yeah,
of hard
yeah.
work.
All right,
Yes,
man.
sir.
Thank you again for talking. This was our our finals conversation.
Likewise, man.
We were
Appreciate you.
fortunate enough to put one of us in the finals again to keep the trend going. So
Yeah, we're close to a
uh
full finals
man,
conversation, but you'll get your
that
rematch eventually. Don't
storytell
worry.
ending, man. That storytell ending. It was so close. But
Yeah.
hey, congrats everyone again. Big shout out to my finals opponent, Ian. You played great at the end of the day, man. You made the right decisions for you and what you thought was right in the moment. And don't let anyone tell you different. It was you played great. You made it to the finals.
I'm about to say you made it. You
Everyone in
almost
the
won the
top
damn
eight
thing.
played
So
great. You guys earned that top eight, and I just wanted to big a huge shout out to them guys. All right, so
absolutely.
we're done. Thanks, guys.